Wherever you at, wherever you at in this world, listen up. Yo, I spit this for my family, the people, the earth. And we've been at this a long time now, digging the dirt. I mean, like putting in work. Forget the friction. We were brought here right now for a reason. Hey, what's good, everybody? Welcome to episode 38 of In a Good Way podcast. My special guest today is Mena from the new paradigm of healing.net. In case you guys want to go look her up. Thank you for being here. I'm honored and welcome.
Thank you so much, Omar. The honor is mine. This is such a pleasure. This is actually the first podcast I've actually done.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
Yeah. So
Well,
this is definitely will always go down as being special.
well, thank you. Now I'm more honored. No, and yeah. So Mena, do you care to share what that means to anybody? Because I know I asked you before, but do you care to share what your name means?
Oh, my name?
Yes.
Okay. Well, there's a, I don't want to go too, well, I can. I'm a woman of a lot of words, and I can go on and on. So basically, to be honest with you, when I'm a twin, let me just
Oh,
say that.
okay.
I'm a twin. I'm a mirror twin. I'm a lefty, which I'm moon, and my sister is a right. So
Wow.
she's the sun, right? And we're a little older, we're a little seasoned in age. So back in the day when my mom was pregnant, they didn't do ultrasounds.
Oh.
So she was like upset because she said she kept going to the doctor and she told the doctor, look, I think I'm going to have a handicapped baby because when I lay down at night, my stomach divides. One go this way and another go that way. Oh no, you're fine, my mom. You're fine. You're not gonna have the baby is fine. Everything looks good. We checked the heartbeat. Blah blah blah. So keep in mind, my mom was a nurse at this hospital. So
Oh,
the
wow.
doctor that delivered us was, that was part of her work crew. So she went into labor. It was time to deliver. I pop out. I'm the first one, even though my twin always has something to say about that. So I popped out first. And then after I popped out, the nurse said, oh, Dr. Snavely, there's another one. And they were like, oh my God, you're right. And she's thinking, I have these two baby girls. I don't know what to name them. And her coworker, another nurse, said, Peggy, I have the perfect name for you, Ameenah and Ameenah.
Oh, wow.
And she said, okay, I like that. So now I was raised in a Muslim background home, okay? I'm not religious, nothing against religion. Religion sometimes it give you the discipline you need to find yourself, if that makes sense. So,
100%. Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
So, once, so she went ahead and that was the name. And as I became older, I wanted to know because I don't even think she realized what the name meant because I never remember her telling me other than it's a very, I don't want to say it's a very prevalent or famous name like Mary, like the
Mm.
mother of Jesus, right?
Oh, wow.
Because it's the mother of Muhammad was named Ameenah.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So once I start looking at that and I'm looking at different spellings, mine is Ameenah, which
Oh.
is Swahili, which is that Arabic, not Arabic, but like the Muslim twist.
Mm.
And like if you look at it, Egyptian is Amina.
Oh.
So I start studying, and then that's when I found out it means honest, faithful, mother of Muhammad. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay.
So to bring the story to answer the question, that's what the name mean. And when you first contacted me, you picked up on it, and I was like, okay, he's on it.
Yeah, no, it's a beautiful name.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I had never heard it before, and I'm really into.
Really?
Yeah, I never heard it. That's why. So it's very popular amongst like the Muslim religion or Arab.
Correct.
Okay.
Muslim, period. Whether you're American Muslim, I don't know about Sunni, because Sunni is more of the mystical part of Islam or being a
Hmm.
Muslim. But pretty much, if you're in the Middle East or what have you like that, that's anytime someone says Ameenah, like when I used to work at a bank and they hear the name Ameenah, oh my God, Ameenah, do you know what your name means? Blah, 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 blah.
Ah.
So it is equivalent, like you say, Mother Mary, like Jesus' mother, because their prophet is Muhammad. So that's his mother. So it's very prevalent like that. Just not
Wow.
back east, they would know a lot of it because there's a lot of Ameenahs back east.
East Coast or east side of the world?
I'm sorry, East Coast. Yes.
Oh, okay. No, that's fine. Okay. No. So if you don't mind me asking about that, because I didn't know too much about your background, that you were raised Muslim, right? So what made you start changing that? Like how you said, like you thought it's a great foundation. So what made you go off on your own way? And how was it looked at in terms of like your family? And because you said they were was it devout or just?
They wasn't strict. So to answer the question, my mom, no disrespect. Again, let me just put that disclaimer on again. I really think religion is a beautiful act. It's a piece of the story. It can get you started. Not for everyone. We all come here with different contracts. We all come here. Some, I don't want to necessarily say a little more evolved, because it's not necessarily evolved, because at one time you and I came as a less evolved. You know what I mean? It's stages and steps to it. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So with that said, my mom came from a background that just wasn't cultivated. And then when she found Muslim or Islam, that put her in that, it brought a different aspect to her. Because to me, she always seemed like we could be like a hippie family. You know what I mean? Because, it was always free love. It doesn't matter what color you are, which of course, race can be perceived a particular way, but she said, you know what, no matter what, even though I know sometimes this particular race can look this way or act this way, there's still some good ones in between. So you have to peep it out. Do you know what I mean? You have to look at that. So she always taught us like that. And she had every rainbow of the print, every color, you know what I mean? Every pretty much all cultures. So because of that was really dear to her as far as Islam. And we had like that hippie spirit. So because I shouldn't say hippie because we shower and everything. I take baths with clothes. But you know what I mean? That free spirit, that earth spirit is the only way I can explain it to someone that wouldn't be aware of it, or someone that's like deeply rooted in religion. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So we've always carried that, the whole family. And it's 4 of us, 4 girls, 4 girls. We've always carried that. So I remember just really trying to get deep, because I felt like my mom never really got deep into Islam. She just did what they told her to do, because that was something that kind of saved her. You know what I mean?
Yes.
To me, if that was taken away from her, that would take her life away in a way. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But that's not my story and my sister's story or what have you. You know what I mean? So I tried to deeply study it. My oldest son, I remember I would just say, okay, we're gonna do our prayers. We're gonna do our, like you do your prayers in Islam and all, not in Islam, in Arabic and all that. And I just felt like, this is not me. This is not authentic to me. Do you know what I mean? And I felt like I was forcing it. And when you start getting that feeling like it's forced, then it's not real. So I never disrespected. I just started doing my research and my study and my search. And from what was given to me through Islam, American Islam, if I can say it like that, or being an American Muslim, it left out the thing that was true to me, which is nature. Nature. Everything, the spirit of earth is nature. Everything is natural. If you can't work on nature, then I don't know what to tell you. So to me, like, I would ask my mom certain things, and she said, oh yeah, this particular leader said that you shouldn't be praying to the trees and all this and that. You know what I mean? Which that was perceived wrong because no one's praying to the tree. To me, the tree is you and you are the tree. Do you see what I
Yeah.
mean? That's your ancestors. The trees was here before us. That's
Yeah.
your ancestors. You know what I mean? That's that primordial energy in the trees. So when she would say stuff like that, it just didn't sit right. And then maybe around 25, 26. I've always been into the mystic art, mystical things, alternative healing, all that. So, with that said, as I searched more and more and went deeper and deeper and realized that I am nature and nature is me, and religion kind of pulls me away from nature, and it had me giving my energy to something else outside of me. And that's what did it for me. And I said, I can't do it anymore. It's much respect to it, but I can't do it anymore. And that's when I walked away. And it's funny because I do have children. Pretty much everyone's pretty much grown, right?
Mm.
But I look at the different what do you want to what's what I want to say? I look at the different, like my mom, me, and my kids. My mom, that was her foundation. Me, I was like, I don't know. My children was automatically like, no, this ain't gonna work.
Ah.
You're telling me like it's supposed to be this man and this man is my God, and well, what about the female? Shouldn't it all work together? Like they came out knowing this, you know what I mean? So that's what made me really turn away from it. And this was, like I said, maybe mid-20s,
Oh
maybe
wow.
going towards the early 30s, but definitely before 30.
Oh wow. No, thank you for sharing that. My story's pretty similar in a way. My foundation was like the Bible, and then after that, it was like you know, I tapped in myself, and the same thing. I was in nature so much, it was like,
Right.
if anything, the Bible became more of reference for me.
Yep.
That's a long
Yep.
story. I won't share too much because I'm sure I probably told it before. It's funny because I don't know what got into me, but I just wrote a book that I finished, and then someone's yeah, thank you, A-
Good for
and
you.
someone's reading that, and then I was like, and then I started another one, and I was like, am I really already like starting another? And so in this one, I'm detailing more like my whole, all that. So I was just writing about that yesterday. That part about, see, I went through that where I felt like
Mhm.
if I was already connected with God, and I wasn't, I saw the church wasn't for me, right?
Right,
So
right,
the teachings themselves, I resonated with. I was like, oh yeah,
right,
because these kind of things were happening to me. I was like,
right.
oh, this happened. So I related to these characters because that's how I saw it. It was just stories. It
Mhm.
wasn't, it's almost like if you were to write a book and you just left it to your daughters. That's how I looked at the Bible. Like, hey, people don't realize what it takes to write something. Like,
Right,
if you sit down to write, and back then, before they had, they didn't have a computer. It was
right, and
on
all these
papyrus or
documents that allow you to go ahead. I'm sorry.
exactly. It was either etched in stone
Yeah.
or on papyrus. Get the papyrus leaves ready, write on that. I mean,
Right.
people don't realize. So when people are like, "Oh, these fanciful stories," like you really think someone took the time? Let me just make all this because they weren't being guided to. That's how I looked at it, right? Like
It's
something
true.
did guide, like people. So that's where when people mock it, the word of God. But see, it was just for that section of the world. Like that was their
Mhm.
stories. So that's how I looked at tribal people sharing their stories.
Right.
Other people were the ones that chose, oh, let's make this into a corporation. Let's try to make some,
Absolutely.
people seem to follow this. So I mean, there was even historically, they say that there was a king that they called pagan, right? A pagan king
Mhm.
that he saw Christianity was on the rise, but he didn't care about it. He just said, hey, all right, this is a popular thing. Let's
Right.
make that the religion of,
Right.
the kingdom. And that's how it started, or to spread more, right? So
Right.
the same. And then once I saw, like, I started connecting with nature, that's when I felt that you go through that, like,
You
am I
do.
turning my back on like, if I was already here, is this blasphemous? Am I gonna burn in hell?
Right.
You know, you
Because
go
that
through.
programming is in there.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So just to touch on that, and then I found the Native community, and see the Native community, despite sometimes people calling it a religion, it's not a religion. It's just a way of life. Like,
Nature.
yeah, the balance with nature. You respect, you know, like you said, there are ancestors, right? Like when
Right.
we do the sweat lodge, the rocks are called grandfathers. They were here way before, you know what I mean? So I got all that. So once you made the switch over and started, like, how did you begin to practice this new way of being, like connecting with nature and everything? Because I see your website is all about healing as well. So how did you
Correct.
start getting into that?
For me, that's why there's an aspect of me, because we're all mixed in. There's an aspect of Indian, Native American, all that, because I would like when I pray over my food, and they're like, oh my gosh, she's about to pray. Let me just wait a minute. Again, I'm a woman of a lot of words. I always, and this is before I start looking at Native American cultures or Indian cultures, um, I will always, like when I saw myself in everything, if
Mm,
that makes sense. I'm like, I am the tree, I am the sky, and I am the water, I am the air, I am everything. Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
Like you were saying with the rocks or the stones, that is our ancestors. When I'm driving and I look at the mountains, I'm pulled. And when I'm pulled, I know that's a part of me. So I
Mm,
start realizing all of this is me and I am all of it. So that was part of it. And then the other part was the healing aspect, I think, because I was always into my twin and I different healing modalities as far as like Reiki. And I don't,
mm,
no disrespect to anyone that does Reiki, or even when you were talking about the Bible, all these are just aspects that was taken from different cultures, indigenous cultures, and just created into one. Even religion, if you do the study on religion and all the religion, it's just a piece of everything, even the books that's taken out of the Bible. Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
So with that that's really what got me started. And I'm forgetting the question you asked me. You what was the question you asked me? How after I kind of walked away from religion, what brought me to my current.
Yeah, like what was it that sparked, like, did you start, like a lot of guests, like for example, some started seeing orbs, some had premonitions, some.
You know what, my friend? This is the thing that really, really, really did it for me. It spooked me out. I'm glad you said that.
Mm,
I've had so much, over the years, you'll get a recall, it'll come up every now and then, certain trigger words, like you said that. This was really did it for me because I was still trying to stick to the Quran or the
mm,
Quran, even though I never got into it, like reading it, because I know you were into the Bible. I tried to get into it, but my mystical side, like I remember one day, um, I was with my partner at the time, family and everything. And I remember before I went to bed, I was going through the Quran and I forgot what I was doing. And then it automatically told me, you're practicing magic. And to me, magic is bad. You know what I mean? Magic is bad. I was like, oh my God, I remember jumping in bed with my partner. I'm afraid. I don't think I'm anymore, right? He's like, oh yeah, you're tripping, whatever. So that happened. And then I want to say maybe a month or two later, kid you not, my sisters is the only one that I really told about this, and one other gentleman who's now passed away
oh,
in the metaphysical community. I don't know if you're familiar with a Dr. Blair, Delbert Blair.
I can't say right now that I could put a face to him. So
You're right. He's in like the metaphysic community. But Dr. Blair, my twin and I actually was invited down to stay with him and everything.
mm,
So I don't know what I did that night. I don't know what I went into or what I got into. And and I'm sure later on we'll talk about dreams because I'm already knowing you the man when it comes to the dreams. So I don't know what I did. And it's funny, the reason why I said with the dream is because, usually in dreams, you don't know how it starts. You just end up in a dream. You don't remember waking up and say, okay, you're just in the dream, right? So I remember going to bed and in the middle, and I was like, I know this is not a dream. All I remember now, this is years ago. This had to be maybe 2008, 9, a while back. So I remember waking up. No, I remember being in the so-called dream. And in the dream, I don't remember seeing anything, but I'm hearing things. And it was like this round table. I shouldn't even say round because I wasn't able to see, but I was at this table with a lot of individuals, and the individuals wasn't human.
Oh.
And it's weird because obviously they allowed me to be there, right? And everything was taking place. And I remember just being normal, like waiting and hearing everyone talking. And then all of a sudden, they was getting ready to start the meeting. The meeting was getting ready to commence. And before the meeting get ready to start, it said, wait a minute, not the human. And it went, whoop, and I just popped up in the middle of my bed and I looked and I said, oh, hell no, wait a minute. That wasn't a dream. Everybody told me this is a whole new situation. And I tried to make myself go back and go to sleep so I could go back there, but I was never allowed back there again. And that, to be honest with you, that's what did it. That, what they say, that's the what is it? Something that broke the camel's back or what have you. That did it for me. And that really started me on the search because I said, I know everything is not the way that they've told me it is. And even with us being a human, because whoever this was, and he sound like, what is it? Star Wars? What's the deep voice guy?
Cool. No.
He said, I can't make this up. He said, not the human, and threw me back. And I'm thinking, well, how do you know I'm a human? I can't even see everybody, but I was there, and I don't know how I ended up there.
Wow.
That did it.
No, that's amazing. Yeah, that's amazing. And since then, have you reconnected with any other beings that are not from here? Like any?
Yes. It's not on a constant basis. With me, I found out that, like yourself, we do a lot of dream work. And of course, what happens in one realm, it affects all realms. And I've learned that. But you asked me this question, and I think I've only told one or two. That's funny. I'm telling everything. This is my debut. This is my breakout with you. So I did. I tried to study different mystical systems. At the end of the day, it still brought me back to myself. But I remember looking at what they would call ascended masters. You're familiar with that, correct?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So I was looking at the different ascended masters, and everything didn't feel right with me. You know what I mean? Because if it comes in and it don't feel right, I don't care what you say. I don't care what I see. If I don't see it with this, it doesn't matter, right? So again, I remember this is more like a dream to me. And I remember, and don't talk about me, don't judge me because I was a little shallow in that dream. I don't know what that was about. And this was maybe not too long after I had the encounter with whoever threw me back, not the human. And I remember in the dream, I was getting dressed up and everything. And I remember my twin was there. And I remember dressed up. I was like, oh, okay, I look all pretty. And I had my hair done. And this older gentleman came up to me. And he was older. He had a gray beard. I'm going to tell you who he is. Are you familiar with Ascended Master by the name of Delbert Blair?
No.
I hope I'm saying his name right. If you look up the Ascended Masters, of what they say the ascended masters, he would be the only melanated one, or I shouldn't say only melanated, but what you would call black. You know what I mean? Because I
Yeah.
like to refer to myself as melanated. You're
Yeah.
melanated. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah.
So he's the only melanated one. And I think they said he stemmed out of Ethiopia back when it was called a different name. So of course I didn't notice in the dream. So I'm all dressed up looking nice, thinking I'm looking cute, and I'm not a shallow person. So I don't know what was up in the dream. And he came up to me and he smiled. And when he smiled, he handed me a gift.
Mm.
And I said, "Oh, yeah, you see that old man? He fancies me. I don't even talk like that. Fancy?" So
Wow.
I was like, "He fancies me." And then he didn't say a word. He just kept smiling. And when he gave me the gift, I don't remember, because this was years ago.
Mm.
I don't remember if he walked away after he gave me the gift or if he stood there and watched me open the gift. I can't remember, but I know he didn't say a word, just a beautiful, warm smile on his face. I opened the gift. When I opened the gift, I would never forget. And maybe you can help me with it. Because I remember telling someone, and this one lady in Hawaii, and it's probably meant for me to figure it out. The first thing in the box was a piece of tree bark.
Mm.
Like, you know how you scrape the bark off a tree. So it was a tree bark. The next thing in the box was money. I don't know if it was $1 bill, a $5 bill, a $20 bill, a $50 bill, but it was like money. And the last thing was, I don't have my stones. The last thing was a stone, but amethyst. You're familiar with amethyst, right?
I am, but I can't. What color is it? I can't remember.
Purple, the
Okay.
purple looking stone.
Okay.
Like purple. I have one on the patio, but I don't want to open it because I don't want to let the glare in.
Oh, okay.
So it's like, are you familiar with like an egg? It's shaped like an egg.
Mm.
Okay, so it was shaped like an egg, and it was like purple stone, an amethyst stone. I said it was amethyst because it was purple, and it was an amethyst stone. And I thought, wow. And that's all I remember. I woke up, but those three things, and to this day, I'm really still, and this was years ago, I'm still trying to figure it out. A piece of tree bark, money, and this purple egg amethyst looking stone is what he gave me. So, and then later on, that's when I found out. So I'm like, like, wait a minute, I think I know who he is. And I'll go and I look up, if you look up Menaji Tawart, the Ascended Master, he's the only melanated Ascended Master. And you look at him, and it was him. He came to me and he gave me that.
And when you looked him up, is any of that related to him? Like, have you seen anything like the amethyst? I know there's birthstone. So is that what month is that?
February.
February. Okay.
Well, I shouldn't say February. Aquarius. It's for Aquarius.
Okay. Aquarius is amethyst.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, are we in the age of Aquarius, or are we entering?
We are in the age of Aquarius. It has entered in. It hasn't. It's in. It hasn't fully taken hold, but we are in the age of Aquarius.
Okay, because that's why I get confused, because some people say, I heard some people we were in it already, we're entering it, or it's not quite here yet. So I keep hearing different things. I don't know if you're familiar with the age of Aquarius. I don't know if you want to touch on that briefly, on what it exactly signifies, because I don't think I've ever talked about it with anybody on here.
Okay, you put me on the spot. That's how we do it.
If you want to, I mean, if you have the knowledge of it, I mean, about it, like, might as well.
Well, the age of Aquarius, because we've been in a Piscean age.
I know.
It's like, I know all about that. The I believe. And if you look at the for Pisces, they're what do I call it something else, but like, their saying is I believe, right?
I didn't know that, actually. That's interesting. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I've seen it in a whole different way, because they talked about Pisces during this whole age. If you look at it, it's had probably the most wars. I mean, I wasn't alive back then, so
But you're
It
right.
was a time of a lot of like chaos, and not that everything was not bad. It was just a lot of, I guess, conflict. And when you look at the Pisces, it's like the two fish swimming in opposite directions.
Right.
And so, and I've observed I've been around Pisces a lot, so I see the, it's weird because they say Geminis are like that, but I'm like, whoa, like I think Pisces switch faster. It's like,
Oh, Pisces, yeah, because they are connected to the spirit world. Do you know what I mean? They're more in their own world, Pisces.
mm,
Gemini, yeah, y'all just like, look, y'all, it depends because there's different aspects to different Geminis. You know what I
yeah.
mean? It depends on the Gemini. You know what I mean? My daughter is a Gemini, and I'm
Oh,
like,
okay.
oh, let me see who I'm dealing with today. Her name is Saya. So I'm
Mm.
like, okay, is this Saya or this is because she have everyone calling her Coco. So I was like, is this Saya or is this Coco today? You know what I mean? So it just really determines. But you're right. I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. But
No, no, no. By all means, go.
with the Pisces, yes, that Piscean age is I believe,
Mm,
I believe, I believe. Now we're entering, or we are in, and my higher self and my spirit is telling me we are in the age of Aquarius. And their
okay.
motto, their motto is I know.
Oh.
If you look up all the signs, so Aquarius is I know. And I did it, I wrote for a talk house, and I would do the astrology, like for each month and what it's talking about. And my oldest son, would put music to it or what have you, a song,
Oh.
because he's in entertainment, he's in that business. And but with that said, the I know, each one of them has a motto too. So in the age of Aquarius, or the Aquarians, I know. So what that mean is we ain't walking with, oh, I believe it's the right thing. You automatically know. How do you know? Using
Mm,
your heart. Using your heart. That's what this age is about. It's not about looking for a God to save you, because that's part of what religion done. It's taking your energy and who you are away from you. You're looking for something outside of yourself to save you. No, we're the only one that's here to save ourselves. We have to remember that. And that's what that age is about, removing all of that. And a lot of people are not, I shouldn't say a lot, certain ones, it's not going to move, and they don't want to get up with the times, and that's okay, because everyone's not here to graduate at this time. You know what I mean?
mm,
So I respect that, and again, I would never think this person is better than that person. Everyone's on their own movement, their own flow at their own time. You know what I mean? We all have different contracts. Along with that, the age of Aquarius, with you already knowing, it's about technology to me too, but not allowing the technology to be you. The
mm,
technology is created from the human aspect and what the human can fully almost be. I shouldn't say fully, because a full developed human is like, whew, like way beyond what almost technology is. But technology is a, what is it called? The word,
a
when you
tool?
copy when you
Oh,
copy someone else's work.
oh.
Plagiarism.
Oh.
So technology is just a plagiarism of what the human really is and really could be. You see what I mean? And this age is part of letting you know that it's there to assist you, but you can't miss steps because of technology, meaning you don't want to do this phase and that phase and that phase. You just want to jump to this phase and use technology to do it. Not
Mm,
good.
mm,
Not good. You're missing a lot. And that's why you can see some, if they talk, for instance, they talk about the gods, the gods, the gods. And if you listen to a lot of story about the gods, they're supposed to be jealous, angry, and all that. And I'm thinking, well, they didn't work on some things. If you come up to this point and you got all this technology and you still jealous, you still very angry, don't give me, we all have little certain things about us that we have to get past. You know what I mean? You have to let certain things enter in, but you get up that high and you still doing this and warring. No, you don't have to tell me a different story because something is not right. You know what I mean? So that's part of what the age of Aquarius mean to me too. That's the second. You know, I'm about threes. I'm the three. The third thing to me with technology comes galactic awareness. And I think a lot of people, we forget about everything being the whole. Our space brothers and sisters, however you want to like, I don't even like calling them aliens, you know what I mean? Because that's the case, we aliens too. You know, we wasn't here when certain mountains and earth dents and all that. We wasn't here. We were somewhere else, you know what I mean? So with that said, this is the time that our galactic family will activate us and have us remember that they are us and we are them. You know what I mean? And there's never been a separation. Everything is together as a whole. Part of the religion and the Piscean age had us believing that, oh yeah, something out in the sky that's coming and it's going to get us and all this. And it was just a facade of things that wasn't true, but that was for an agenda to keep us at a certain level. You know what I mean? We're at a different frequency now, or shall we say, there's different frequencies now that allow you to be able to see and feel and hear the truth and perceive it from the heart. So that's, in my opinion, and what I'm feeling, and from my higher aspect, is what the age of Aquarius is about.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I could hear everyone applauding in my head.
I believe you because I know you connected. Oh, I know you connected.
No, but it's crazy because I agree. To me, because now, right? Like, it's not that it's barely been happening now, but it's been happening for some time. But even recently, I had another dream, and it was like a past life. I figured out, right? Because it was crazy in this dream. I don't think I've said it on a video yet, but I'll tell you about it. You know, since you were open with me about stuff, right? So this had never really happened in a dream. I've seen, I mean, eagles have done this and stuff like that, but it was like, it was where I live, but it was like, you know, in that world. And then there was a hawk like on the light pole, and it was like screeching at me, like, you know, almost like waking up, wake up, wake up. But it was weird because there was some kind of like, you know, there was a military vehicle going, but I remember one of the propellers was broken. And it only had one propeller. That was the interesting. It had one propeller and it was like broken, barely going. And then the military plane. And then I looked up and all the clouds were these different warriors, right? They were also, I don't know, it took me, I was like, whoa, I wrote it down the whole dream. I was like, that was interesting. And then like 2 days later, I don't know, I think it just hit me and I was like, oh, spiritual meaning of seeing warriors in the clouds. And when it came up, it was like, it was the warrior in the cloud tribe. I was like, what? Peru, they lived for like 600 years before the Inca. I was like, no
You said
way.
Peru?
Never. Yeah. And then when I saw like, they still had statues, all those there was all these different statues, and they looked like the warriors in the clouds that I was seeing when I looked up, like all the different, I was like, what? So, and just like a day before or 2 days before, I had a memory. It was like, unfortunately, see, I was fleeing and I had like 2 kids with me. I don't have kids, so I was like,
in their reality, you do.
yeah. I was like, whose kids are those? But and then when I read about that the Inca had attacked them and this and that, I was like, well, maybe it was a memory of that, like me fleeing as you know, all that stuff happened, right? And that's how you said that I know, right? So to me, I know. I don't like, I know, that's what I know. Because even that, like a couple of days after that, it was crazy. Just like how in the dream, I know it was a plane, but there was a propeller that was broken. I happened to be watching the news, and as I turned, the volume was off, but as I turned, there's a helicopter falling that crashed, right? And the same thing, just like in the dream with the broken propeller. So I was like, oh, that was my confirmation that, like,
Right.
I mean, I had already received the confirmation, right? Because
Right.
that's how it is. All the little things will come true. Boom, boom, boom.
Yep.
And with the hawk like screeching at me, I was like, okay, obviously that's
You
like a
know that's
wake up.
your family there, the
Yeah,
hawk. You
yeah, yeah,
connected to it. Go ahead.
yeah. No, 100%. So the hawk was so just to touch on that, like how you said, but they visited me, like the whole, like how I call them the star people. So when you said the galactic family, a few years ago when they visited me, um, it's interesting because the first time they made themselves known, they were just dressed like me and you, right?
Right.
Then the next time they appeared, they were how they were, really tall. They looked very, in their own little whatever, like
Right.
stuff.
But you was ready. You were ready. That's why they showed themselves in a different your phases of life. But go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to
No,
interrupt.
no, no, no. By all means, no. And then so the crazy thing was after I woke up, but I woke up feeling like, I just took a ton of Nyquil or something, like that. Like that's how I know when it's real. I wake up and I'm like drained, like, whoa, what was that,
Right.
And I remember it took me about 2 months to detach because I just wanted to be with them. I felt this love that I don't think I've
Mm,
ever felt on earth. Not, I mean, probably just with family, you know what I mean? Like that kind of thing.
right.
But it was this pull for like two, and then I had to realize, well, I'm still here.
Uh,
Like I gotta. I was waiting for that. I don't know. In my head, I think I was waiting for them to come and get me.
Right.
Like
Right.
I thought that's what they were showing me. Like they're making themselves known because they're trying to let me know, like, hey, we're gonna come for you soon. Oh, and then I know it's messed up because I feel like I came here for a reason, but then the next time or two times after when they appeared to me, it was like a ship, and there was all these people, but I was the only one that could see them.
Mm-hmm. It was
And
meant
then
for
they
you.
asked me, if I wanted to go, and I was like, yeah. I didn't hesitate. I was like, yeah. And then, but then when I woke up, I was like, I feel like I gave, like they weren't expecting me to say that. Like they thought,
Really?
yeah, like they thought I was gonna be like, nah, I'll stick it out. I came here for a reason.
Right.
I know
Right.
there's a lot of stuff because I think in my life I was, going through a lot of stuff,
Right.
and I was like, yeah, get me the hell out of here. But yeah, and then when I woke up, I was like, I got it. It's like I knew that wasn't necessarily the answer,
Right.
like I was supposed to give. You know what I mean?
Right.
All this stuff. But yeah, after that, I don't know. So I kind of did. I say, all right. I said, okay, fine. I'll stick it out a little longer.
Right. Right. Because you got work to do,
Yeah, but
brother. Bro, you have work to do. And that's really what they're trying to tell you in so many words. You know what I mean? And the crazy part about it, um, part of it is your higher self that was there and your tribal family, your family before you even came here to have your current family, because your current family, we come down, we incarnate into those particular families to get lessons and everything that we had to learn to grow the soul. You know what I mean?
yeah,
That was your star family. That's your first family. It's the three families. And I give kudos to Sister Mara who helped me, which I always talk about my family, but help me realize you have your soul family, which is part of your higher self. You have your spirit family, and you have your earth family. You know what I mean? And that's part of your ancestry and all that as well, because you have the physical earth, but you still have individuals that's still here. So that was your family. Now like, bro, oh, it's time. We're gonna be back, and we're gonna tell you how it's going to go down. You know what I mean? So they were just making you aware of it. That's amazing. And this was how long ago?
well, see, that's why the first time they appeared was when my brother passed in 2019, right?
Let's see.
They appeared, and it was like, I think, well, it's hard to talk about certain things because I've even made a video about stuff and then YouTube deleted it, right?
Really?
Yeah. So you know how YouTube,
Right,
it
right,
was involved in the
right,
whole pandemic thing, right? So I don't
right,
know. That's why it's always hard because I don't know where everybody stands on certain things.
right,
So it had to do even during a time like, a lot of things flipped everyone's world upside down, kind of thing, right?
right, right.
So So first, when my brother passed away in 2019, and it was a sudden. I don't know if I mean, I've said it like on tons of videos.
I did on the video, and keep going, but let me just say the last video I seen when you gave him that hug and the kiss,
Oh,
he needed that. He needed that. He's carrying so much. You lifted a weight off him because no one really dies. That's the reality. No one really dies. It's perceived here as we're gone, or we're not. You know what I mean? He needed that. You released a load because he's still doing work on the other side. He's still doing work on the other side. And he carries a lot of guilt and everything with more than just his family, your parents, and all that. He needed his bro. That did so much. And for you to say that, I was like, you don't realize you did so much for him. That hug and that kiss, it's like, okay. And that was a way of, he felt like a forgiveness. And ooh, he loves me. But go ahead. Finish what you was doing. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, thank you. You know what? That made sense because the one thing in the dream, I mean, there were certain aspects of it that did make sense to me
Right.
because even because that in the dream I told them, like, I always thought, I remember thinking in the dream I thought of him like a little brother, but he was my big brother. But even when we were here, like on this earth, it was like, he was the one that was in the Marines like 20 something years, but sometimes there were times when he would get in trouble and I would jump in like I would jump in to defend him as opposed to the other way,
Right.
like, even one time someone pulled out a gun and I'm like getting in the way, like while we were driving behind. I might as well tell the story. I remember we were driving behind a car. I think he had been drinking. He starts honking at the car, like this, because it was like a one lane.
Okay.
And this car's going all slow, and we're in some residential area. He starts honking, and this car just stops. And like the guy gets out and pops the trunk, pulls out a shotgun. And as he does, I hang out the window. I grab a water bottle. I'm like throwing it at the guy, like ducks. And my brother kind of takes off. I forgot if he went on the curb or what. And then he's pulling me in, like, what the hell are you doing? I was like, what do you mean, what am I doing? You're the one honking at him. And to me, I just didn't care. I saw that shotgun. I was like, I'm not letting this guy shoot. Like,
Right.
I didn't even think about it. It was like reaction.
Right.
And this happened a few times, like where he would say some stuff and I would like, and it was weird to me because he was the one like that had been conditioned like that, but I would react without thinking. Like to me, it was like second nature to just like to protect him, right? Like I had that. So that's what I thought too. Like in life, like, it didn't, to protect him, like I would do these things, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like different things like that and other situations. So that's why, but what you said did make sense to me for some reason. So thank you for that.
Right. You're welcome. You were his big brother last lifetime too. That's why. So you still carry that energy. So that's why you guys go through that. You know what I mean? Because I don't want to say a soul level, because a soul is, to me, there's no beginning and there's no ending to a soul. You know what I mean? But as far as going around certain cycles on earth, you've been here longer than him. And you guys, last incarnation on earth, you were the protector. You were the big brother. You were the big brother. I'm picking up almost on more of like a father or uncle aspect, because you protected him last time. You know what I mean? But it wasn't, and you protect him to the best of your ability this time, but you had to learn that there was a capping off to your protection, because he has his contract and you have your contract. You know what I mean? Even though it's hard as hell, don't nobody want to go through that. No one wants to feel that. For what? It's like, damn, when stuff like that happens, you sit back and you're like, okay, I know it's a part of it. You don't want to feel it or what have you. You don't want to see it. But we all have our different contracts, even within our family structures and groups that we're in. And I'm sorry, finish. See, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
No, thank you.
You're welcome.
I love having these conversations. This
That's funny. How you email me and then you're always laughing in the email. You're like, ha ha ha. You write just how you know how you sound. It's so funny because you're always like, ha, 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 ha.
Yeah, no, I think, yeah, and sometimes I feel like I have to tone that back because I'm like, I wonder, I don't know, that's just the overthinking, like you don't know if people are gonna think, like, I don't know. It's just you overthink things sometimes. Like when I write sometimes I'll erase. I really laugh a lot more like than what I
And
type.
you should. Don't hold back. You got to be you. Whoever don't accept you, what other folks think about you is none of their business, especially if they don't know you. You have to be true and authentic to yourself. Guess what laughter does? It's good for the soul. When
Yeah.
I crack up, oh my God, I feel think about something that have you cracking up to your stomach hurt. That's 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 feeding the soul. So no, don't hold back on that. Now, if you're going crazy, that's a whole different story. But for that, no, and never make an excuse for that.
Yeah, no, thank you. So I guess, yeah, there were so many things that we're talking about, but I guess with the whole age of Aquarius, so to you, because that's kind of what I got about the whole. But see, only you know. But it's interesting because when I was looking through your website, like you sell all that, like you sell stones, like different crystals, stones.
Well, really, selenite is the raw selenite is the ones I sell, and that's limited because they come from right outside of Utah or Arizona, what have you. And oh, they're
Oh,
so powerful. Text me or send me your address. I'm gonna send you one, okay?
okay. So what is because again, I've never had anyone really explain what the different crystals do. So what the selenite, what is it good for?
It connects you to the higher realm. It's almost like this blackstone. This is shungite. If you notice on like even my paintings, I got the blackstone shungite.
Yeah.
Shungite. This is EMF protection. Are you familiar with that?
No. So what exactly is EMF protection? I think I know, but I didn't look it up because I was gonna ask you, like I said. So I was like, let me just let her explain it.
Okay. So the frequencies that's coming from the computers,
Ah, okay.
you know what I mean? Like this desktop, your cell phone, and all that. Those frequency bombards you, and it can mess up your cells and everything. This stone, this is an ancient stone. This is shungite. The shungite, some people refer to it as almost like a shaman stone. It clears. It eats. This is what it eats. It eats the EMF, the
Oh, wow.
electronic, the frequencies. It eats that. And you can use this to clear water. You got some dirty water, sit it in there, and it'll eat up all the dirty water and take all the negativity away.
Mm.
Now, the selenite, which a lot of people, and I should have had my stones. Oh, I have a little piece here. This is a little piece, if you can see it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So the selenite is almost opposite because it connects to the higher realm. When I send you the piece, when you open it, you will feel it immediately. And it protects you in dream mode as well.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So it's good to sleep with it by your bed, on your bed, around you, under your pillow, or what have you. It is a high frequency stone. It's vibrating really, really, really high. And
Mm.
all of the stones to me, because they're all deep in the ground for millions and millions and millions of years. It's not just quick, you know what I mean? So they have
Ah.
so much information and energy, and it's just so much to them. But the selenite and the shungite those are my go-to stones. Yeah, I don't want to get up. I was gonna say, as a matter of fact, I can grab one or what have you. But it does. It protects you from the high, and it introduces you to what they would call the angelic realm. You know what I mean? I
Oh.
don't always go with what people use as like the angels and all that or what have you. I use words that kind of resonate with me. You know what I mean? Because angels can be looked at this way and that way. Not that I'm saying I don't respect them, you know what I mean? And we're not a part of it. I don't necessarily want to say the angelic, but the higher realms, if
Mm.
I can just say it like that with the selenite. It's a beautiful stone. And it's something I don't like to, I like to give certain aspects and facts of the stones, but whenever someone comes to my home or I'm introducing stones to them, I ask them to give me their recessive hand. Like if you're right-handed, then your left hand is your recessive, and that's the hand you want to feel the stone with. Because if you
Oh.
notice, that's going to be your most sensitive hand. That's going to be your most, because that's the receiver, you know what I mean? As opposed to the giving hand. And I let them hold it. And I ask them, what does it feel like to you? That's why I don't like to look up what stones mean, because I go with what it is for me. If I get a new stone, I'm like, no, I'm not gonna look it up. Let me sleep with it for a couple days. Let me meditate with it. Let me just feel it and learn it. And then once I do that, I'm like, oh, okay. And then I'll look it up and say, okay, it means this, it means that. Okay, I can see that. I can see that. This might be somebody else's interpretation right there. Oh, okay, I got it. So yeah, I would definitely send you a piece.
Okay, thank you. No, thank you.
You're
Yeah,
welcome.
because I mean, I know to me it doesn't bother me. I'm sure it doesn't bother you either. Like the whole trying to convince people, like to me it's like, but sometimes I do want to offer, knowledge just in case, like maybe they just don't believe because they haven't been taught correctly, or maybe they haven't experienced it, and so maybe that's it, right? Or stuff like
Right.
that. So to someone that doesn't believe in crystals, or this, like what you said right now was, oh my god, perfect. Like that's a perfect way of describing about how they've been in the earth for millions of years. How do you not think that they hold all this knowledge? Or see, that's how I would look at it, right? But I guess
Right.
to someone else that wouldn't get it, how would you describe that to them? Or
It's funny you said that, because I have a friend who I gave a stone to, and for the longest she said, Mina, I know you was all in that woo woo stuff, and she's really, you know how they say it, and she's religion, so she always thought that that was, because they think everything is evil.
mm,
You're a witch, you're this, you're that, the labels or what have you. So she recently went through something, and I think someone purchased a stone for her and gave it to her. And because she was open to them, I gave her one. Now, the reason why I'm bringing her up is because she was saying, you know what? I looked at stones as being something evil, and it was away from God. And I
mm,
wanted to say, well, no, it is God, and the God is. I said, well, let me tell you, say it like this. Do you look at this beautiful earth? Do you see this earth? And I think we were by mountains. I said, look at this. Isn't this all beautiful to you? She said, yes. I said, so why would you think that's evil?
mm,
She said, I didn't say that was evil. I said you thought the stone was evil. She said, oh. I said, yeah. I said, you gotta remove the hype or what's not real. Because they gotta realize, again, when it comes to God and religion and all that, like you said, oh, that was a corporation. People start weaving in their things. I told her, if you just stay true to yourself, like I tell everybody, just with that heart, it's going to tell you what's real. You know what I
mm.
mean? It's going to let you know what's real instead of conflict and confusion. Like in the article, everyone's on cognitive distance. Oh my God, I can't believe I can't even say it. Distance or what have you, and they're all trying to. I can't believe I'm drawing a blank to it, but it's all confused, and they're saying this and that, and no, you have to get away from that. How you get away from that? You got to drown out the outside and start getting into the inside, that inner verse, that within. Because at the end of the day, guess what? Everything, everything, everything that we need to know is within.
Mm.
All of it. Think of the peacock. Isn't it beautiful?
Oh yeah.
The male peacock, those beautiful feathers, and the peacock, they're really clicking, and they want to get seen. But the peacock, that beautiful, those iridescent colors and the feathers and all that, he grew that, because we all know the beautiful peacock, that's male. He grew that. He didn't go to the store to get some paint. He didn't go here, didn't go there, go that. That was already in him. You know what I mean?
Mm.
It came out, right? He didn't have to, oh, let me see. No, that was already there. And as humans, that's what we need to realize. Everything is already, we came here with the package deal.
Mm.
And we have to remember that. That's why even in the blog, I said, all the stuff we just forgot. We just forgot, because it's all there. We
Yeah,
just
yeah.
need certain individuals to help us remember by activating us. And it doesn't even necessarily have to be certain individuals, because people like you and I, sometimes we feel alone because we can't always express and explain ourselves. And that's when we got to kick in. I've been in the closet and my kids are like, oh my God, here she is. I've been in the closet in the dark. Mom, can you please not say that to anyone? Please not say that to anyone. Look, I get answers in the dark because I'm able to turn in. And like I said on my blog, you're in the dark long enough, the light starts to come through, and it does. And it gets bright. You know what I mean? And aspects of yourself and your family and your ancestors will come and visit you. So I'm sorry, I'm going off on a tangent. Right?
No, please do. Please do. Yeah. Like sometimes after I'll do an interview, like if I notice I talk too much, I'm like, man, because the whole point is, I'm interviewing you. So, so I try to work on not, so
yeah,
it's
but we
perfect.
still want to hear what you want to say. And look, the sun is coming out. Can you see? I have windows right here. Yeah. The sun, can you see it's getting brighter?
Oh, no, it looks, earlier you could see the thing over your head, but
okay.
Yeah. No, but it was, it looked cool because you were saying something and it almost looked like a light bulb.
Deep thought.
Yeah. No, but it was good. It was good. No, I was gonna just to touch on what you were saying about see, that's what I feel, right? Like everything is already stored in our DNA, right? So that's how you said that the computer is just artificial humans. I believe that 100%. It's like all the stuff that they try to, because now, right, like within a few years ago, I remember when they started seeing, oh, you're gonna be able to implant these computer chips into your head, and don't you want to be smarter? And to me, it's like, because even that, right, I've been able to to tap in, and I'll call someone when I do it without thinking. Like, let's say, even if it's someone that maybe they were supposed to call me back and they never did, or something like that. And when I don't act from a place of ego, and it's just like, boom, they popped in my head, I pick up the phone and call them. Oh, I was just thinking about you. Yep. It's it never failed. Yeah, it never failed. So it's like you pick up the signal, right? Like, so we're already connected. Imagine that we could call each other already. We're already tapped into this, the network before they created this artificial network, right? The World Wide Web. We already have this World Wide Web. Or even, I asked you earlier, like when it happened for you. So for me, it was just, I started having like the premonitions, right? So to me, it was like, okay, I know if I go to church and I'm telling them that I'm having premonitions, they're going to look at me like I'm crazy.
Right.
If I tell a scientist, they're not going to be able to explain it to me.
Right.
So I was really like, and that's why too, the Bible was more like, okay, I'm not a freak. Like, hey, people believe this book. This happened to a lot of people in this book, or things like that. So if I'm a freak, then all the people you claim to be following, then they're freaks too. Right. You know what I mean? So once I saw that, then it was like, I guess my whole mission to try to understand, like, what does it mean? Like, if we're seeing premonitions, does that mean it has to already exist, right? So it's, one of two things or three things or four things. Is like, that means everything's already written, and I get to step out. And, just like a book, I've said this already. I don't know if you saw one of my other where I say this. It's like, the book is already written. If the book is laying there, it's already written. Just because you haven't read it doesn't mean it's going to change the beginning, the middle, or the end. The book is there. You just haven't picked it up yet. Right. So to me, that's what it feels like. Like, I just step out. I look at this book of life, of this existence. Right. From my higher self, like the whatever in the 5Ds, whatever 6Ds, or whatever, however many, there is. Right. And I'm able to see real quick out there, like, okay, this is going to happen. And sometimes it's been like, I've had premonitions 10 years in the future, 7 years. And then when they happen, it's like, whoa, like, this is crazy, right? I forgot what my whole point to that whole conversation was.
You sound like me.
Yeah. No, I just like, just that it's already in there. Or even that, like how I said about the past lives, like, that I could get on the computer, Google it, and it really existed, and I didn't know about it. Like once I had a dream that I was in this long sweat. I didn't know those existed, a longhouse sweat. I've been to tons of the sweat ceremonies where it's just, it's shaped like a woman's womb, right? Because that's what it represents. Yeah, that's what it represents. when you go into the sweat, it's like the story is that you know, in the native culture, the sweat was created because, see, women, you guys naturally have your purification ceremony. Women have your moon time, right? Every month you have your moon time. You cleanse. You know, you're like a whole self. You know,
it's true. And not to cut you off, I even become more sensitive at that time, right before and right during it. Like I could pick up on everything. I'm like,
oh wow. No, yeah. So for the native culture, we're like more the sweats were created for the men to be able to purify, because the man had no way of purifying. So you'd go in there, you know, you're sweating everything out, you're cleansing yourself spiritually and physically, right? Like you're giving everything, you're connected, and it's like literally that's where the real being born again came from. That's why religion is interesting, because there's so many things it seems like if you really follow, they just kind of took from all these other cultures, right? So when you come out, you're literally being born again. You went into the woman's womb and you come back out born again, renewed, right? Like, but so originally it was created for men because women already have. That's why even in the really traditional way, I heard now there is people that'll have sweat ceremony and women could go in even on their moon time. But originally it's because you're already in a ceremony, so there's no point in having another. And that strong energy from a woman purifying herself is gonna affect the others inside the sweat ceremony. So it's all a spiritual thing. Maybe I think now, like, there's this ego of like, well, no, like I want my moon time, I want to sweat too, so I want to go in there. But traditional places won't allow that because there's a spiritual reason to it. It has nothing to do with some places still allow it, which is fine. I don't think I've been to a place where you know they allow it, right? Like it's you know, it's like that because it's a purification. Like I go to co-ed sweats, right, too, but as long as that's the thing, if you're on your moon time, you're not supposed to go into the sweat. Like it's
and why would the woman want to enter in? Let them do their thing. I mean, we all come together as one, as a whole, but you know, it's like I don't know, maybe they just get caught up in times and society, because you know what I mean?
Yeah, but and it's just when they're on their moon time. It has nothing to do with like them being allowed in this. It's just on the moon because you're already in the ceremony. That's like the traditional way, right? I think there is more like some that might, you know, it's fine and it's fine, right? But to me, I mean, it makes sense to me, right? From a spiritual viewpoint, right? Like I understand the whole thing of that. But that's what the sweat in that way it was created, right? For the men to be able to purify themselves. And again, I don't know how I got into that tangent. What were we I know I was talking about the past lives and everything. I forgot why I even brought that up.
That's okay. It'll come back up. It will definitely come back up.
So I guess we'll just go off like what. No, and it's weird because it's like I felt my, you know, you feel your brain shift. So it was weird, like, and then I just kind of drew a blank. So anyways, then back to you, like when you talked about what they handed you in this dream, don't you feel it's connected to, like, because even looking at your store, like how I guess you could see the bark as like paintings and what, because that's what they make paintings and every paper. Does paper come from the bark or does it come from
It does. And that's funny you said that because I'm so connected to the trees. You know what I mean? I love a tree. Call me a weirdo. I'm a tree hugger. I don't care. I would get under the tree. And I don't do nothing against allopathic medicine or anything like that. But, you know, again, I stick to nature, what's natural. And if I have a headache or I feel like I've taken in too much EMFs or what have you, electronic frequencies from the computers, I'll go sit under the tree. And if I feel like if I'm, especially back in the day, like if I'm like really, I've learned very recently to kind of control myself when, you know, like anxiety and I'm stressing and tripping. Oh, this is not working out. Oh my God, what's taking place? You know, I've learned over the years to control myself. But back in the day when that take place, and it's just, to me, I know it invites certain things in that you don't want to be in your frequency. And the last time I remember like really just spazzing out, going under a tree, and I just can feel whatever it was, it had to leave. It had to leave right under the tree. So with that said, oh, the tree, I think he was showing me the representation that I am connected to it in so many ways. Like you say, the paper, and just I always say they're my family. They're my family. I hug them. Even part of the mountains. The mountains used to be trees and all that as well. You know what I mean? So the tree definitely represents me, my ancestry, primordial ancestry. You know what I mean? Before we start taking on cardinal or the physical body.
Mm.
That money, I don't know. I need it. I will gladly accept it. I'll take it, you know. So, but I think with the money, looking at it from a mundane point of view, then yeah, you want money. But I take it of it as more of currency. You know, currency as far as our currency, not necessarily because money is a form of currency. It's just a lower form of currency. Not a bad thing. The person who has it makes it bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I look at that as currency, with him giving me that, and currency in many different levels. Currency as far as me giving myself to others, because I like to help others, especially as a Virgo. I used to think I can save the world. And then, I got smart. It's like, you know what? I can only help whoever wants my help. I can't be the Hitler of like, no, you need to do this. No, you need to see this. No, you need to figure out this. No, people come around when they're ready, when it's their time. You know what I mean? If it's their time, you know? So my currency, giving that currency out to others who want my help, you know what I mean, and who deserve my help, my energy, and it's about giving out the energy in a way that allows it to come back to you, not depleting yourself. You know what I mean? Learning how to give it out as an exchange of energy, if that makes sense, you know. And the egg itself, which was the amethyst stone, if you think of an amethyst, when you get a moment, you look at the amethyst is synonymous with your first eye or your third eye or your ajna. You know what I mean? And anytime you go into like spiritual stores or stores with stones, the first thing you're going to see is the big purple stone because it connects you to the higher realms. And I want to say we were bringing this up, and this has been years ago. I want to say because they say it's different rays of life. I'm sorry, and he's connected to the fourth or fifth ray of life. And I never really studied that because that wasn't nothing that resonated with me. Because again, all of it connects back to the same aspect. It's just different offshoots of it. But when you come back, it's still going to come back to the same. And with that purple stone, I think that's what that represents. And I think that represents that I will and I have passage, which we all have passage in the higher realms, but cognitive, being able to perceive it and remember and bring it into this reality. I really think that's at this time in my life, almost 50 years old, I think that's what that is, what those three gifts really meant.
Mm. Interesting. Yeah. No, because I also thought it was interesting that I guess as far as the money part is that like both aspects are displayed or they're present in your store too. So it's interesting that you have such a connection with both items, and both items can be a source of income for you. In other words, like maybe like that, like they were showing you like these are things you're connected to, and for all the reasons you described, and you can use them because I guess in a way you realize their worth not just on a physical level, but because you understand their value. It's almost like they're giving themselves to you, like, hey, we're part of you and you can use us on this physical plane to make this money, I guess.
That's good. I never thought about it like that because, like I said, I shouldn't say hiding in the shadows, but I've never really put my stuff out there like that. You know what I mean? Like if I have some reading clients, be like, oh, yeah, this is my blog. Go ahead and take a look at it when you have some time, when you get a moment. You know what I mean? I never thought about really, I mean, with the stones, yeah, obviously I sell the stones through Etsy, and that's limited because that mine have shut down, unfortunately,
Oh, wow.
But as far as and I think I have a spray that I made and I sell. But other than that, I thought about maybe selling paintings and things like that. But I don't know. That's something else. Like to ship that and all that. That's a whole different avenue. But Another thing that I would like to distribute out is the cards that, because I've always used my own cards when I've done my readings. You know what I mean?
So,
So the cards.
so
Oh, go ahead.
even the readings you've done, you have your own cards that you created. Oh
Correct.
wow, interesting.
Correct. Correct. Yeah. And they used to be on my website, but when I stopped doing readings, I took all that off. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Like I took everything, all the reading aspect of the website off because the paintings and all that wasn't there. It was all reading. So
Mm.
I switched it like all during COVID time and all that, you know. So I probably would want to distribute that. I mean, initially I created them for me, you know what I mean?
Mm.
But again, to me, they're universal. They don't look at one, what you would call race, what have you. To me, they're universal. You know what I
Mm.
mean? The aspects and everything on it. So I'm working on that. So that'd probably be the only other thing I would like to distribute, but I'm open to whatever. You know what I mean? Like I said, you my debut, you my breakout debut, or what have
Thank you. Well,
you.
since you brought it up, I wanted to ask you about that because I was planning to ask you about that, but this is the perfect, segue to that. Is why did you stop doing readings? Because I've seen that see a lot. Like some people never go back to it, but you, interestingly enough, said, I guess you stopped doing the readings and now you feel like you're being guided back to it. So why did you so
I
why
don't
did
know
you
what I was saying that day, but go ahead. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, well, okay, then what led you to want to stop? Because it almost seems like the conflict within tarot readers is probably as it reminds me of when I had my conflict with the whole like religion thing or different things like that, right?
Mhm.
Not that I was ever like I considered myself part of the religion, but just that whole struggle. So what led you or what made you, if you don't mind speaking about it, obviously.
Of course. Um, what led me to stop, as I stated in the blog, as well as, of course, I was under the impression that I can help everybody. And I
Mm,
wanted to help everybody. You know what I mean? So with the readings, I was setting up on healthy, I shouldn't say I was setting up. I didn't know how to set up healthy boundaries. Do you know
mm,
what I mean? So I would let people interrupt me at any time. You know what I mean? Like I still have a life. I still have a family. I have children and well, they're grown or what have you, you know, but I still have a life. I still have to anyone that's well for me, the type of individual I am, I tell you, oh, like I have to go in nature. I don't care if I need 2 or 3 hours in nature.
mm,
I need that. You know what I mean? So I have to take that time off out. But another thing for me is what really did it is I used to work at and I don't consider myself a tarot reader. It's more like even with my cards when I put them out, it's a combination of tarot, divination, which I know that's cliche because tarot is a form of divination, but it's like tarot, divination, and numerology all together because I work with the numbers as well, right?
mm.
So I used to work at a spiritual shop. I don't know if I should say the name because I think you guys have it in California. Are you in LA?
I'm in LA County still. I'm like, yeah. So I mean, I'm like 30 minutes from out Los Angeles, the city.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
So I used to work at a big metaphysical store. They're here in California. I want to say the main store is in California. Have you heard of Psychic Eye?
It sounds familiar. Yeah.
Okay,
I've
so
seen
we
it.
have like two Psychic Eyes here, and I know you guys have one. I forgot what part of California. So I used to work for them, right?
Mm,
I because I used to do readings. I've never like fully, really dove into like make that a career
mm.
because by profession, which is slow right now, I'm a realtor, to be honest with you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I mix, like people that my clients have no idea that they probably just think I'm just a little weird. They have no idea of this side of me, you know what I mean? Some I have a few that does, but for the most part, they have no idea. So when my business was a little slow, I said, you know what? Let me tap into this. So I decided to work at Psychic Eye. I did it for about 3 months. And what determined me for that is think about really connecting. How can you connect for 5 or 10 minutes? You're giving people a reading, right? And it's timed. And
Oh.
oh yeah, it's timed. So you pay for a 15-minute reading or a 30-minute reading. Now I'm a woman of a lot of words, and sometimes it takes 15 to 20 minutes for me to click in for the stuff to really start flowing. And I got to hit a buzzer. So I was like,
Wow.
I don't like this. And then I would have sometimes the same people will call and say, okay, I got 15 minutes. I need to know this, and that. And then be like, well, am I going to get this job? Am I going to do this? And I'm like, I want to help, but I'm not what do you call it? Someone that reads your fortune. I'm a healer. I'm a helper. I want to help in that way. Now, certain aspects of that come up. Yes, I'll let you know what happened. But I'm about healing, allowing you to go back to yourself. You know what I mean? So that threw me for it brought me the wrong way. And I said, no, this is not for me. If I'm gonna do it, I have to do it on my own terms. No. So I did it for 3 months and then I left. After I left, I still had certain clients that would come into the store physically because of course they live in Vegas and they still wanted me to do help and all this and that. And a lot of them was just no. I'll just put it that way. No. So I had to just go ahead and denounce it and leave it alone. However, I still did it for certain friends and family, like my son, who's almost 30. He could call me up and, Mom, I need a reading. I need a reading. You know what I mean? And the way I do my readings, it'll give you, like, for instance, I might do a 6-month forecast for you. You know
Oh.
what I mean? So, okay, in February, the energy is going to be like this. You're going to be feeling like this. You're going to be dealing with this. March, April, May. You know what I mean? So I tailor it like that. Now, if you want a specific question, and usually start with a specific question that's asked, and then we go on for there. But then I'll go with whatever my higher self and my soul family, if they say, okay, now do some abundance cards, because I work with more than just my cards. I work with other cards. And then sometimes I might not even work with the cards. You know what I mean? Because I want to get away from certain meetings. It's good to have it, but as sometimes stuff can flow through without me even having cards. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And eventually, I definitely want to get to that point. There's nothing wrong with using the cards, and I like using the cards, especially because they're coming from my soul family, my higher self, the aspect of me. So to answer your question, I had to walk away from it. Now, I don't know what I was thinking when I had just finished the 3-day fast. I was like, yeah, April 7th. Like, April 7th, which that still may be in play because, we don't run the show. We think we're running the show down here, but we're not, it's coming from the higher aspect of us. So that still may be in play, or that still may come down the line or what have you. And again, I'm gonna have to tailor it a certain way because it's just me. And I have no one else helping me. And I think back in the day, that's what had me kind of all over the place. You know what I mean? I'm a one-woman show. So of course I still have to make money, and be the realtor and real estate and all that, and then go back to this and do that, which I was getting paid, but it's nothing that's gonna allow to support yourself. You know what I mean? So I would get like just juggled in between both of them. And so when I come back with doing it, because I feel the need to help, because I know what it does for me when I have a good reading and I'm going through something and someone just makes you feel just amazing. You know what I mean? It just, because that's that healer energy, and I know I exude that. You know what I mean? And once you give that, and when you doing the reading, you're speaking with people, those are your guides and everything going through. That's not coming from me. That's coming from you. That's coming from your higher self. You're giving me permission to read you or to tap into your soul family, your spirit family, your earth family. You know what I mean? All that is coming for you. So I felt the need to at least come back and do something, especially since that was my last blog. I'm done with the blogs. I've been writing them for 5 years. You know what I mean? It's like you can only do something for so long and then you move on. There's stages and phases. You know what I mean? So with that said, we would definitely see how it turns out. It's just me. more than likely would have to be probably recorded readings. You know what I mean? When I have time, like for me, a lot of times before I go to bed, I'll do like tuning forks or what have you, and then just get intact and probably, knock out some readings and do some, because sometimes it could be long readings. Sometimes it could be like maybe 30, 45 minutes. So I'm just going to have to, customize it to a way that fits into my schedule right now, until maybe I can, have a team or bring others on board. But I'm still trying to figure out me right now.
Yeah, no, thank you for that. And thanks for the explanation about because I don't know if I've had someone else say that, because I interviewed a couple tarot readers. I don't know if they said that about how that, like, when you do a reading, it's like the other person's granting you permission.
Right.
And if they did say that, I apologize for not remembering. But yeah, that's interesting to think like the other person's giving you permission.
I always ask, like, people when they used to come into my house anytime, the first thing I do, I ask them, do you give me permission to connect with your higher self? Do you give me permission to connect? Because it's all coming from the higher self, and it just trickled on down. You know what I mean? So I always ask permission, and I explain to them, it's not me that's doing this. I'm the like the arbitrator, the one in the middle, you know what I mean, to allow it to facilitate through. But this is all coming from you. I don't know you like that. You know what I mean? This is all coming from you. And I think that's something that I always made clear with people. And even with healing, it's not us. I mean, if you go into the doctor and get cut on, that's different. And the doctor has its necessary time. You know what I mean? It has its necessary time. Because like if you're in a car accident or something like that, you know what I mean? You're gonna need it. If you need emergency surgery, I get it. But what was I saying? As far as I just drew a blank. Looking at the trees. You hear that? Did you hear that? Shh.
Yeah.
That's the trees. I'm looking at the trees.
I couldn't tell if it was at my house or because we've had.
Because you can see the shadow, huh? Or
No,
you can hear
because
it.
it's been windy out here. Like yesterday and the day before, it's been super windy, and there's still like some storm that's supposed to. The sun's out right now, but yeah, it was really, yesterday the darkness set in and everything. So
that's us over here in Vegas too. And so I'm talking to you, and I'm looking at the trees because I have to be by the window or what have you. I forgot the last comment I was going to make or whatever, but I always, that's what I was going to say. As far as healers and even with dealing with a specialized healer, like a psychologist or even a spiritual healer, they're healing themselves. Their higher self just gave them the permission. Okay, now it's time to heal. Okay, we got this. We can do this. The subconscious is breaking programs, or it's breaking through, or it's kicking the ego down, or saying, okay, now I'm going to dominate the ego. We still, it's us. We're healing ourselves. That's all. I'm just the conduit that allowed it to happen.
No, thank you. And so how do you feel about healing? Like, because I mean, there's been sometimes I'm able to figure it out pretty quick. And then sometimes, because I am someone that when I feel pains, like in my body or this and that, I relate it to something spiritual, right?
You're absolutely right, because spirit is first.
Yeah, but sometimes it becomes hard to figure it out. So do you do those kind of healings as well? Or you just, like you heal just yourself when it comes to those kind of things? Like when you feel like any kind of, if your back is hurting, or my neck is hurting, or this and that, like, or how do you go about healing like those kind of things?
I tune in. I really tune in. I go within. As far as, I have not, well, I do, because if someone comes to me and they, if they feel in a certain way, or if they have a headache, or they have anxiety, or what have you, so I'll do tuning forks or laying on hands, whatever my higher self instructs me to do, or from the higher aspect of myself or my soul family instruct me to do. But for me personally, like you say, everything starts in the spirit. first. So even a cold, that starts in the spirit realm too. It's something that's going on, something in your aura or what have you. So for me, when I get an ache or a pain, I just kind of go within and say, okay, let me think about what's going on. And if I can't really figure it out, I start calling like family, 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 you know, my soul family, like family. What is it? What is it? What is it? And a lot of times they'll usually put a picture in my head, or it'll connect, it'll show me because of this is what's taking place. You know what I mean? And not to be graphic, like I had a pain the other day and I was like, wait a minute. Did I go to the bathroom today? You know what I mean? I was like, oh, they trying to tell me, yeah, you got a little backup going on. I'm like, oh, okay. Because I was going and going. I'm the type that, you know, I'm very healthy. I take care of myself. I was like, oh, yeah, I didn't drink enough water that day. You know what I mean? So I just really go in and just really try and figure out what's going on. Now, a lot of times what can be a little, I don't want to say hard or difficult, but I'm still learning is to distinguish between certain energies. You know what I mean? Like, I'm trying to figure, well, I shouldn't say trying to, like, when stuff hits me spiritually, I'm about to say, okay, now, is this of, I mean, you know the difference between a high and a low frequency, but I have to distinguish it in a way that say, okay, that's me messing with myself because of anxiety, so I'm letting other things in, or if some other energy is coming at me because of what, because you know, I can be very sensitive. So if someone's thinking about me and talking about me or what have you, I can feel that. You see what I mean? And for me lately, I have to really hone in and learn the art to distinguish which one it is. You know what I mean? Because as soon as I feel it all around, I'm like, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. It's like Mena, just stop and breathe and just figure out what it is and what it's coming from. And if it's really, really low in frequency or if not of me, a lot of times when I play the tuning forks or even just ask, you know, my soul family to come in, that usually leaves, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, it's funny because you just reminded me even earlier before we started the interview, my ears started ringing. You know, everything was really quiet.
Right.
And my ears started ringing, you know, for a good while, the right ear. And then, you know, I try to look it up like real quick, like, okay, what's the ear about? But then it was crazy. I looked at my clock and then I realized it was 10 minutes behind. So I was like, oh. And then so after I was like, did they really just want to get my attention?
Right.
Because I would have been late to, you know, the interview because I thought I had more time. I was like, all right, I got an extra 10 minutes. And then when I looked at the computer, I was like, oh, wait a second. Oh, my other clock is like 10 minutes behind. So I was like, oh, okay. And then, I mean, I felt like that was it. But I mean, it's so funny because to you, what does that usually mean? Have you ever looked that up, like the ringing of the ear and all that?
I've heard someone, because I'm going to let you know when it's coming from me, and I'm going to let you know when it's coming from someone else. I heard someone else, because I get that very frequently, and someone was saying that it's other entities trying to infiltrate your space. I don't necessarily, I mean, that was their perception of it. Now, I do believe that can definitely be a possibility, but the way it's been happening a lot for me and probably yourself, I think it's just the higher aspect of you trying to get through to you. And a lot of times, like frequency, the high pitch, that's a high frequency. That's letting you know it's coming from your higher self. Like, hey, yo, oh, look at your clock, bro. Like, look what's going on. You know what I mean? So that's what I feel. And then you do have to pay attention. To me, I pay attention to both aspects, the left and the right side. You know what I mean? And for it to be on the right side, I view, because you know, they say it's opposites or what have you. But the way I look at it and function and view, if it's the right, that's more of the masculine. So that was something that that was outwardly that you needed to do by realizing it's the clock. You know what I mean? And if it's the left or if it's more internal, then it's something that's trying to get your intention internally. Have you look at something internally, if that makes sense.
No, that makes perfect sense. That makes perfect sense. Yeah, so I'm still curious about your experience. I don't know why right now it popped in my head again about your experience with being thrown out of that meeting. Well, let me ask you this real quick. Like, so going forward, how do you feel your spiritual walk going, or what do you want to continue to do as you continue on this path? Because obviously you're someone that is not only very tapped in, but wants to learn more, right? Like it looks like you're just on a constant journey to I don't know if it's improve is the correct way, right? Because it's not necessarily, I guess, improve, just kind of like open, like
right, enhance
those, yeah, the dormant things that are still inside us or whatever, and you're aware of that, and it seems like you just want to keep opening that. So where do you see yourself heading, I guess?
As I stated earlier, yeah, this is definitely a transformative time for me, and I feel everyone on the planet at this time. You know what I mean? Because as I've always said to you, Omar, that New Year's for me doesn't start until spring. So New Year's is starting, next month on the 20th for me. So I'm just open to what my higher self want me to do. I am practicing the art of surrender. To fully surrender. You know what I mean? And when I say fully surrender, because we think we're running so much down here and we get in our own way because we get afraid. Oh, this is not working out the way it's supposed to be. Oh, this is not, and it just seems like, especially over the last couple of months, I just keep getting so many tests after test after test to see if I'm going to buckle. Because I said to myself, I'm evolving. I am leaving. I shouldn't say leaving, but I'm evolving. I'm not hanging around for the shenanigans and stuff that used to take place, that used to happen. I don't care if it's family. I don't care if it's whoever it is. I came here to finish my contract and move on to my next mission. You see what I mean? So with that said, I'm open and I'm surrendering to everything. To completely surrender is, like they said, be faithful. Already know, if you trust your higher self, which you should, because your higher self is you, and it's not just you, it's a unit, it's a team. You know what I mean? Like, you just on ground level, but it's a team, it's a whole team. So I'm surrendering to that and allowing, by surrendering, just being fluid, like water, and just letting things flow to me, not letting certain things bother me. And even if I say this particular, I'm going to be this way and this is going to happen, and I end up slipping a little bit, I'm not going to beat myself up, because that is the cycle that we put ourselves through. We kick ourselves, oh my God, oh, I messed up. I can't do this. No, that's just, it's not about what happens to you. It's about how you react to what happens to you in life. You see what I mean? So I'm ready to transform in a way that I've never had. I'm ready to go galactic, baby. I said that in my fall blog. I'm ready to go galactic. You know what I mean? Because it's all a part of us. We've always been galactic. It's just a lot of it's been hidden. So I'm ready to go galactic, and I'm open to whatever my higher self or my team, my higher family wants me to do. And I'm open to helping, because I know I came here to help. I know I came here to help. You know what I mean? We came here to help. And I know I'm part of a big soul team that's connected, even with you. You know what I mean? To even find you, we connected by way of the hawk. That's how I found you. And it was like, you're kin to the hawk, the red hawk tribe. I'm like, what is, and I've always been into the birds, you know what I mean? And they're our family too. They are our family too, especially the birds of flight and all that. They're definitely our family, of what have you. So I'm just going to practice surrendering, fully surrendering to who I truly am. And by doing that, I'm able to introduce my authentic self. And once you're authentic, baby, ain't nothing's left.
Yeah, no, that's beautiful. I know it's funny because that's kind of what I'm on too, right? Like, I have a problem with surrendering big time, right? And even that, sometimes when I've had these aches and pains or different things, I feel like I caused them in part because of that, not surrendering,
Right.
right? Trying to do
Right.
things my own way,
Right.
being stubborn with
Right.
you
Right.
know, and so things like that. But the same, like, so do you feel like that, like you said, like we obviously not running the show. It's funny though, because well, how do you feel about that? Because I know there is a lot of people that push that narrative. Well, even okay, I know. I mean, no disrespect by the saying like we are gods, because I get where that comes from, right? I
Right.
guess I guess technically, if I go down the rabbit hole, then I guess that statement is correct, right? Because we are
Right.
tapped into everything,
Right.
but yet at the same time, we're reminded that we're not running the show. So how do you feel that? It all ties in, like the to learn to surrender, but yet to be able to be in this god or goddess type power, but yet we have to learn how to surrender.
Surrender. Right. Well, it's kind of cliche. The
Yeah,
reason why I
exactly.
say that is because we're not running the show, but we really are from a higher aspect. Does that make sense?
No, no,
So that's why I
yeah.
say it's cliche because it's us. It's us. We're on ground level. So it's like you have all this stacked up, right? We already know this is the one that's the direction of everything, right? So if we're a unit, we all have to be in unison, right? Working together. But at the same time, it's still all one, right? So it's about playing your part on the aspect that you're on. If we're on ground level on earth, on this physical plane, then our higher self, it's almost like a video game. I hate to say a video game because people think of a game as something you play, right? But initially it is a game because it's the higher self is like angling and all, and it's like, okay, you could do this, you can do that, or what have you. But it's only the higher aspect of us can only get involved in a certain aspect because we have to learn it for ourselves. It's like a baby bird. Think of a baby bird. If you crack that egg and peel everything out, what's going to happen? It's not going to make it.
Yeah.
The struggle of going through the egg and busting out and all that is what creates the baby birds. What give the baby bird the strength, the endurance, the struggle, and all that creates who the baby bird is. And just like us, that's why our struggles and all that. So that's why I say it's cliche, because at the end of the day, it really is us at the same time. But to kind of not spoon feed us, but to build that perception is first we have to remember that we're down here. This is not the highest aspect of us. We on ground level. So the highest aspect of us is trickling everything down. And it's almost, I don't want to say the military, but you want to get in suit because you got to get everything right. Because if you're moving as a unit, you're moving as a unit, as a team. You have a chief. And that's why I say it's still important, because I hear people say, we don't need leaders, we don't need leaders, we don't need leaders. And I see what they're saying in a way. And it's the same thing I'm saying with it's our higher self. So again, it's back to ourselves because we really don't need leaders in a way, but we do, because we still need someone that's going to lead us. We need leaders that's going to lead us back to ourselves and help us remember and realize that we all came with the package, just like the peacock, the beautiful feathers and everything. You know what I mean? So to me, that's what it comes down to at the end of the day. It is really us, but on that lower aspect, look at it as it's just a higher aspect of my self-handling.
Mm. No, thank you. That was deep.
You're welcome.
Yeah, no, because I think since you mentioned the military, I've always gotten that concept because like even in the military, right? That's what they teach you right from boot camp, right? It's
Because
all
you were in the
about,
military for a while too, right?
yes.
Okay.
You were as well?
No.
Oh.
I've never been in the military. I don't think I would have made it.
Oh, no, it's not that. I mean, it's more mental. Before I went in, you know, my brother too, the one that passed away, he's the one that recruited me. He was a recruiter for a little bit. Yeah, it's
Okay.
like, you know, it's like little, there's all these, I think some people don't realize, like, just everything in the middle, it's like there's all these different jobs, right? And at some point they kind of make you like, you have to try these other things too, right? So he did recruiting duty for like 3 years, I believe. And so he recruited me. And it was funny because people would make fun of him, like, "Oh, you got to be heartless to recruit your own brother to the military." But he actually helped me. It was like at that
Right.
moment, it was meant to straighten me. I wasn't going in the right
Discipline,
direction.
huh?
Yeah. It
Mhm.
was perfect for me at that moment. But what I was gonna say was, like, even in boot camp, they teach you, they drill it into you that you're only like as strong as your weakest link. It ain't
Mm.
about abandoning someone. Like, you get punished, like everyone gets punished. If there's this guy, it's not about like, oh, he's slow or this or that. Like, you have to make sure that person, it's sad because I don't know if you ever saw that movie Full Metal Jacket.
It's old, but yes,
Yeah,
yes.
where the guy, like, everyone's beating him up and this and that and all this. Like, that's not, or in my time I didn't really see that. I saw it to some level, right? Like, I remember there was even a guy that he happened to be my bunk mate when I was in boot camp. And yeah, he was just something else. Everyone, like, you know, you're not even allowed, like, it's funny because even in the cafeteria or whatever, there's snacks, but you're not allowed to get them, right? So it's almost
Until
like
they
for the
tell you
drill
to.
instructor. Yeah, for whoever, for other people and not for you.
Oh, okay.
And this guy, I remember even once he snuck a donut, and it was like, oh man, they threw everyone's, like, you know, everyone's drawers were like mixed with everyone else's, and like they just, it was like a tornado came through. Like, the drill instructors threw everyone's stuff because of this guy, right? And I was like,
And y'all all had to clean it up.
oh yeah. So no, and even when you go in, you're supposed to label all your stuff. So if you didn't label your stuff, then you're gonna be wearing someone else's you know what I mean, stuff. So it was funny, but it was like that, right? Like, they everyone suffered for what one person did, right? Uh and so what do you call it? No, I remember something else that happened, but I won't keep saying this. But it was just like that. You had to straighten out this person. And sometimes I remember they were trying to like pick on him, like they were pushing him around. And you know, I got in to defend him because I was like, nah, you're not gonna, you know what I mean? You're not gonna bully him like that. And you know, you
Right.
just try to, at one point though, you do get frustrated. You're like, you know what? Like, because they just won't straighten out. So you realize they do have to have
Right.
a little discipline, you know.
Right.
Uh, like, no, I mean, this guy was just, he did a lot. Like, he even peed on himself, and he had his, because well, yeah, because sometimes it's like when they're training you, it's like if you even ask to go to the bathroom, like, they do what's called IT intensive training, right? So when you come back, because you interrupted, you know, maybe we're in the middle of a class or something. Oh, you know, everything, it's funny, you know, it's like some people when they were in boot camp, they were like, man, this is worse than jail and this and that. You know, it's like, you know, it's like they're on you, right? Like, it's like
Right.
nonstop, right? So when you would ask, oh, I have to go to the, you know, you go as a drill instructor, hey, I have to go to the bathroom. They're like, all right. And as soon as you come out, you get like thrashed, right? Like, there's a puddle of sweat under you. Yeah. So it's like, okay, you wanted to interrupt, boom. So yeah, so there's the IT intensive training. So maybe that's why he held it in that day. He wasn't in the, you know, like, he was a little on the heavier side. So maybe
Oh,
he was
okay.
having a hard time and he just peed on himself, but he didn't wash his clothes for like but it's
Ah,
funny because yeah, so for like a week, and then a drill instructor finally was like, he passed by us and he's like, what the hell is that smell? And then, like 3 guys were like, oh, so and so peed on himself, sergeant or whatever, or or something like that. And it's like, and they're like, what the so it was crazy, like, yeah, but at that point it's like, hey, like, that kind of things you can't do for them. Like, hey, how can
right.
you can only tell them like, hey man,
Right.
wash your clothes or this and that. So, and
Right.
then whatever, however they dealt with him, the drill instructor, then that was on him at that point. You know what I mean?
Right.
Stuff like that. So,
Right. Right.
but right there you see the whole aspect, like, just in that, and it's all about, but that they really do make everyone pay for the one person.
Right.
I mean, they even try to do it to me, but I saw that they even played a game. So that was the funny thing when they played a game. It was like, I remember you know, marching, right? Marching is really important. So they were having us march, and then they made everyone run. Oh, okay. They said I wasn't lifting my knees correctly. Oh, you know, like he doesn't wanna march. Okay, everybody run, and we had to run all the way. And some people were like trying to push me, like, oh, and I
Because
pushed
they
them
mad
back.
at you.
Yeah, yeah, and I pushed them back, like, you know, like, you know,
Right,
shut the hell up. I was like, they're lying. They're lying.
right,
They just did that. They were gonna make us run no matter what. It was
right,
just whoever they chose to pick. Like, oh, it's because I knew I was doing it perfect, so I knew it
right,
wasn't. So I saw the game they were playing. See,
right.
and I think sometimes I know it sounds like I'm going into nothing, but
No, but I get it.
yeah, yeah. Sometimes there's a purpose to the game
Right.
that we don't see from
Yes.
like a higher perspective. So even that is the whole game to teach us that the only way humanity is gonna make it is together. But how do we do that, right? Because for some reason, while we're here, there are these things that have taught to divide us. Like, is that
Yes.
part of their game, or is it part of just these other people, like other people here that divide us by race, divide us by political parties, divide us by
Right.
now gender became the new
Right.
word. Like, they're constantly dividing us, you know, different wherever we were born in the country, all this stuff. So,
Right.
so who's playing this game? Like, I know that's like, I don't know. I
It
don't know if you
still
have the answer, because
it still comes back to us. It's still all us. It's still all us, and it's still our higher self. You know what I mean? Because you have to be uncomfortable to create change. There's no change in comfortability. You just, oh, life is wonderful, you know. And then I'm not saying that there's not a time that stuff will be in a flow state and, you know, harmonious, but you still got to clean all the shit out to get to that point. You know what I mean? So everything is still divine. Even the most tragic looking thing is still divine. You know what I mean? Because it is still allowed from the higher aspect, either it wouldn't be happening. And that's the bigger picture. And we have to start looking at the bigger picture. You know, that's how we get caught up. We can't help it. We're down here. So of course the smaller picture, the closer to it, we're trained to be like that. That's just a part of the aspect of us being in the human aspect. But the big picture, that big bird's eye view is if it's allowed to happen down here, then it was orchestrated, but it's meant to allow us to remember who we are, to be able to fight through it and go through it. As I said earlier, it's not about what happened to us, it's how we react to what happens to us. And how we react to what happens to us allow us to either devolve or evolve.
100%. Like, I feel like, and thank you for saying that.
You're
I
welcome.
feel like that is the thing. We could stop everything bad like that, like in the snap of a finger. But like you said, it's us. Like, even during the when the whole pandemic started, you know, it didn't hit me right away. I wasn't in this whole like panic mode, nothing. I know a lot of it had to do with my 2019 was kind of like, you know, that's when my brother passed away. That was like the year, that was my pandemic. To me, that's when I was in a lot of, you know, pain, right? The whole
You're
2019. So
grieving.
yeah, so once this 2020 started, I didn't even care. It was like, okay.
Right.
But I saw the panic in people, so I went up to pray aloud, go up to the mountains, this and that. And the message I was given at that time was we could stop it like that. That
Mm-hmm.
because, you know, the corona, right away I knew in Spanish, corona is your crown, right?
Crown,
Yeah,
right.
corona, right? So
Right.
corona virus, it's a virus that, because they even after they said that a lot of people died just from the panic, I was like, wow, you could really scare someone to death. Like, that's a literal thing, you know? Like,
Yes.
yeah, I didn't know that. Like
The mind is
literally.
serious. The mind is serious. That's what I wrote about the mind.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No, it's amazing. So the message I thought I was getting was that we could end it like that. Like, we had the power to, as humans collectively, if we put our
Yes.
energy out there,
Oh my gosh.
that it would just disappear. But and I tried my best, put little posts on Instagram. Oh, let's do a world prayer day. Let's this, that. I tried that. I saw other people doing that. It was even interesting. One day I was up there. I went up to these hills where I would go pray.
Mhm.
And it was crazy because I thought, like, oh, what? Like, God's coming. Like, because, you know, I heard the trump. You know how they say in the Bible about the
Right.
trump? I heard this trump, and I was looking like, what? And way over there in the hill, there was this woman, and she was blowing like, it was like a long sheep horn, right? And it was,
Oh, okay.
yeah, and it was crazy because she had an inscription on it from like, I don't know, like some kind of biblical thing, right?
Okay.
And then in between me and her, there was a man over there praying, like, he was praying on his face. So it was like, wow, I was over here praying on my part way over here. I saw a man way over there praying, and then I saw this lady way over there blowing her ram's horn. And I mean, far, like probably at least a mile away, but I could see from the hills where we were at.
Right.
And after I talked to her, and then this man, and it looked like we were all different ethnicities. It looked like we were all praying, maybe in a different religion or a different kind of way, but we were all up there, doing this thing, like trying.
Absolutely.
Yeah, trying. So I saw like, but at this point, I think I already had that message, but it was like then to see it physically.
Right.
But I think whoever pushed the fear just did a better job. Like, or I don't know if it was the way it was supposed to be regardless, but that people couldn't see through the fear that they were pushing.
Right.
So when you run into that, how do you stay positive and stay the course in all this for anyone that might like lose hope or stuff like that sometimes? How do you manage to see or keep pushing that? Because we know, see, like how you said, we have the ability to change everything, right? We already have it in us. So why is it so hard to teach people that? And what do we like? What's
I mean, at one time we didn't know it either, right?
Yeah.
We didn't realize it, right?
Yeah.
So, like you said, everything is already kind of scripted and written out for us. So, with that said, I think it comes down to, I don't want to say an evolution process, but I think it comes down to how you come here and who you are, your true self, your authentic being. Do you know what I mean? Because you can have someone that come here with just deal with so much tragedy and still reinvent themselves and tap in and pull out their authentic self. You see what I mean? So I really think that, and even with part of the always driving the division between everyone. You know what I mean? Like if we were to come together as one human family, because there's only really one human race. You know what I mean? Different hues and different colors or what have you. Even for what you would consider like white, you know what I mean? There is still now it's other aspects that not really human. And they come in different colors too, you know what I mean? It may have been perceived more of a lighter, but it comes in different colors too. But if we all pull together as that true human aspect, game would be over. Game would be over. And then we would have to start building or start a new show or a new aspect. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So you're gonna have, and I don't like duality, and I should say don't like. It's necessary to have duality, polarity, and all that. You have to have a little bit of everything to still keep the show going. So everyone is not meant to graduate this time to move on to the next level. You see what I mean? That's why I say it's already scripted and made out. So when you took your contract, of course, we forget after we take the contract, when we take the deal, because we take a fall, because we're in the higher aspect first. We take a fall. We forget what the contract is, but it's certain things imprinted on the soul or the spirit in our individual contract. How some people can just succumb to things that you'd be like, I wouldn't even succumb to that. Like, why would you do that? And what have you? You see what I mean? So it's the same concept with what's going on. Everyone is not, it's different stages. It's different stage. Everyone is on different stages. Everyone is not meant to be on the same stage. Either will just end altogether. Does that make sense?
That makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah, so I think that's exactly. I think that's the reason why. And certain indigenous cultures always say, and that resonated with me so heavily, that we're living backwards.
Mm,
We're from the past reaching up to the present. You
mm,
see what I mean? Not from the present going all the way to the past. So we started off with this earth game down here. We're going from that primordial state to reach all the way back up. So we're from in the past going all the way up to the future. Does that make
mm.
sense?
That makes sense, but I'm not sure if it's clicking the way you mean it, but it makes sense to me. I think.
Because you know, your higher self is your future self.
Mm. That yeah,
Your higher self is your future self. Eons and years from now. But then again, I don't want to set in the confusion because time doesn't really exist the way we think it is. It's just a construct that's presented here for us to separate things up, separate things in this physical realm as we know as the third dimensional dimension, a third dimension. You see what I mean?
yeah.
So it doesn't really exist like that. So once you go through a particular, shall we say, dimension, the time won't exist. So for instance, my twin and I, so it's two of us, right?
Mm,
Let's say she stay here and, you know, we're in our late 40s. Let's say she stay here and I decide to go and pass through and say, yeah, I'm space. And see, that's another thing. To space travel is to time travel. They're one and the
mm,
same. You see what I mean? And I decide to say, okay, I'm going to travel through. I'm going to go to another universe. I'm going to pass through the Milky Way and go to another universe, right?
mhm,
And I go through that universe and, you know, I remember doing it. It seems like maybe a week or two or maybe a few months for me, right? And
mm.
then I pass back through and I come back down. She may be 150 years old and I still
Uh,
look like this. Did you ever see that movie Interstellar?
oh, that I think I always reference Interstellar.
That's an example because you think about he thought that's a form. They thought that was a ghost. That wasn't a ghost.
Mm,
So it really helps you realize like how these dimensions play out. You see what I mean?
mm.
So that's why I was trying to paint a picture with that. It's like, you know, like it's different aspects. But go ahead. I'm sorry. You were getting
No,
ready to say
no. Keep no go like no go. I forgot what I was gonna say anyway. So
something.
uh,
Oh, sorry.
no. There's so many things to say about that. Oh, okay. Let me ask you this, because I actually from the beginning, once you said you were a twin, I wanted to ask you about that, right? Um, so how, because that's amazing, right? So let's say it's all scripted or something. Just the fact that you came to this earth as a twin, like that's amazing to me, right? And I could understand because even like, Geminis, they say we're the twins, right? So we're
You are
already the sign of the twins. Yeah.
right.
So that's interesting. So to me, the fact that you came here already as a twin, it to me is mind blowing, right? So on a spiritual level, how connected are you? Like, do you really like on a whole nother level? Do you feel what she's feeling? Are you able to like? Are you two really tapped in like on a whole nother level, or?
Yes, we used to be really, really, really close, but you know how you get older and life happens, and you know, everyone is on their own walk or what have you. But I think eventually everything comes back. You
Mm,
know, will come back around. But no, we are close. We live, of course, in the same city, and we you know we see each other every once in a while, but and we used to be close, you know, and be able to pick up and talk. But when we were younger, we were very close.
oh,
She would speak for me. I was like that little weird child, you know what I mean?
oh,
Like I would just look and stare at you. You know, I wouldn't say much. And it's crazy because the roles have switched because I'm outgoing, you know, I'm like talkative and all this.
mm,
And when I was young, I would just look at you. I wouldn't do any of that. And she was the one to talk. She would say, because my mom, I don't black lady name or a melanated lady named Peggy, but my mom was named Peggy. And we wouldn't call her mom, we would call her Peggy or Gaggy. She was Gaggy, I talk for Mena, and whatever. Mena want to eat, Mena want to do this, Mena want to do that, blah, 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 right? She would do all the talking. And I would just kind of just sit there and look. And I was always the one that was just, I guess because I was the moon, I'm the left one. So I was the moon child. And then as I start tapping more into myself, the role switched.
Oh wow.
The role switched, and I became this outgoing person, what have you. But my sister and I, we always talk about it, and she might have a point. You know, a lot of people like us that help and do work, we kind of seem like we could be the oddball, right? We come here kind of odd. And she said that she don't think I incarnated into my body until I was about maybe 7 or 8 years old, which she might have a point. I don't know. Because I can remember doing stuff in kindergarten, like who writes their ABCs upside down? The whole ABCs upside down or what have you. But if you look at the spiritual concept of this earth, everything is kind of turned upside down. You know what I mean? So maybe I was trying to make it right side up by doing it upside down or what have you.
Wow.
But
That's amazing. So you used to do that then?
I did that one time when I was going to school. When we did stuff like that, it's different because school's not like that now. But I got spanking. Like our teachers used to spank us when I was going. Yes, they used to spank us. I remember I got a tap on my hand with the ruler. I was so sad. I couldn't understand. I'm like, I did what she told me to do. I can't help it if I wrote it backwards or what have you. You know what I mean? But we were very close, and maybe that's part of the reason why I'm like, hiding in the shadows with everything I do, because I think because we were twins and we're identical twins, it was almost like we were famous. You know what I mean? Famous people can't go out in public or what have you. So it was like, oh, they're twins, the twins, the twins, the twins. And then my older sister is just a year older. So it was almost like we were triplets.
Oh, wow.
So when we was going to school, they was like, yeah, the triplets, the triplets, the triplets. So for me, or as we got older, I think part of that, maybe subconsciously with me as well as her, I think she wanted to create her own individuality and just kind of split away. You know what I mean?
That makes sense. That makes sense. Wow. Yeah, no, thank you. And is she kind of on a similar path as you then? She's a healer as well, and
oh yeah, she can do all that. That's why at the time when I started everything, I'm like, it'd be nice for you to come around, like you can help me do readings. And she got into it for a moment, but life happens, and you got to do other plans. You have to do stuff to support yourself and all that. So she took a different twist, and then she worked in corporate for years.
oh wow.
Yeah, she did, and she was like, I can't do this no more. This is killing me. So when she came out of corporate, she got into it. But we've always been mystical. We've always been into the mystical arts, always been very natural nature. Like if you're looking for the twins, you find them sitting under the tree or in the mountains somewhere natural. And she's always been connected to the birds too.
Oh, wow.
Always to the birds. You know what I mean? So yeah, we're definitely connected. Yeah, she's the fire and she's the sun and I'm the moon.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you. And then, so I don't want to keep you forever because I know, you
Oh yes. Oh my God, 8 to 9. It's been about 2 hours already, huh?
Yeah. So I don't want, I don't know how much time you have. So just in closing, why do you feel that they threw you out of that meeting? Because that's just been in my head. Like, why did they? Yeah.
Imagine, because to this day I haven't been invited back, and I feel some kind of way. If they see or they watch YouTube, I just want you to know. To this day, I was like, I can't even get back in. I don't know. I guess humans wasn't allowed, but if humans wasn't allowed, how did I get there? That's the part. I wish I can give you more information on that. Again, this is the first time I've actually told this to anyone outside of, my sisters and Dr. Delbert Blair. He couldn't give me an answer too. And I was frustrated because I was like, no one can give me an answer. No one can give me an answer. I was somewhere and it wasn't here. And it was just as easy. And obviously it was astral, astral travel. But the fact that he was able to throw me back and I end up in my body, sit up in my bed looking around. And I've never been invited back there again. And it I remember something similar to that in a dream. It was almost like like Star Wars. I want to say Star Wars. You know how they have like their committee, and it's like almost like a dark room, and everybody's sitting up high in like little pods, almost like.
Yeah.
I remember something like that, and I always thought was that connected, but I can't give you any more detail because I don't even remember seeing anyone. I just remember being at a table, and I know I was at a table. I don't see a table. I didn't see a table, but I know I was there with a lot of other, obviously, beings, you know. And I remember his voice, a very strong, powerful voice, and he threw me back. He was like, "Wait a minute, not the human," and boom, threw me back. Never forget it.
Yeah. No, thank you, thank you.
Very
Yeah,
well.
yeah. So hopefully one day you know, they'll give you an answer to that.
Hope so.
Because like there's been so many things I've experienced that even sometimes I've wondered when it was something like it was clear I was in another planet or another
Right.
dimension. Even I've always wondered, even that, was it a past life or was I astral traveling and
Right.
this is now, or was it a past life and I'm just having a memory that in another life I was living on another planet, this was
Right.
happening. So you know, there's all these questions that I haven't got answers to as well. So
Right. But you know, the crazy thing, all of it is happening simultaneously at once. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And that's when that how the time construct comes in for us, so we can separate it. But everything is kind of happening simultaneously at once.
yeah, yeah. No, and I experienced that. I said it in other how I think I said in the last interview I did how that was once when I was awake and I started seeing all these realities at once, and it freaked me out because it was too much to handle.
Yes.
Well, when it's your first time seeing it while you're awake and you
Correct.
think you're losing your, all of a sudden it's like, you know, looking at 50 TVs at once, but it's in here and you're just seeing it and you're like, what? And you freak out, you know? And I
Right.
just started praying for it to go away. I was like,
It's
take it
like,
away.
no,
Yeah,
no
yeah, yeah.
boss.
So I guess at that I got a glimpse. I don't know why. Like, you know, I was taking a shower, so I always, you know, I know water is the portal, you know.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, we come
Yes.
to this life through the
Through the
woman's womb, encased
water.
in water.
Yes.
So yeah, when
Yeah.
water, you know,
It
it's
is
scary. Yeah.
it's the conduit. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I didn't mean to cut you. It
No,
is.
no, no.
Every morning, my ritual involves, you know, before I take my tea, you know, I'm like, nano waters, healing water, because the water is everything. She is everything and everything. That before we come here to take our first breath of air, water was there.
Yeah.
Water is everything. So no, that makes sense. You were in the shower, so yeah, everything is coming through. It's showing you. Now I can relate and be like, wait a minute, when you ain't ready for it, it's like, wait, slow down. Let me get my bearings. Let me figure this out. You know what I mean? You can't have too much thrown at you at once.
Yeah, yeah. No, but then after I kind of sometimes, then when you go through kind of like a dry, I guess a dry spell, like spiritually speaking,
You
then
want
you're
it
like,
back, huh?
yeah, you're like, oh man, did I mess up? Were they entrusting me with this? And then because I didn't accept it, they're like, well, we gave you a chance, you know, like.
Right.
So
I know
yeah,
that feeling like I messed up.
yeah. So it's pretty, because I don't think that's happened again to that at that, not how it happened like that time, not to that level. So
That's funny you say like a TV screen, and I'm gonna say this, and then I know we have to wrap it up. When we were little, my twin and I, we were bad. Twins are bad. We were playing this game. My mom could have kicked our butt, and the reason why you hear me say my mom, I had a stepdad, but my dad died when I was like two, no, 3 or 4. You know what I
oh,
mean? So I never really had to interaction with him in the physical, but in the spirit realm or the dream mode or what have you. Definitely, you know. And I
oh,
know it was written like that.
mm.
But we were playing this game. We had to be maybe about 11. Silly. It's called the faint game, right?
Oh, I remember. Yeah.
So you guys played that too?
In I never tried it, but I saw kids do it in elementary. Yeah.
Good thing you did. And I know my higher self and my family, my team, and they were like, really? So we went, and both of us did it. My twin and I both. We get against the wall, and you breathe hard. Then they grab your chest, and you hold your breath, and you faint, right? And I remember when I did that, I fainted. And to this day, I still remember. I don't remember every detail, but I remember falling out and fainting. And then it was like the Wheel of Fortune. You know how
Wow.
you spin the wheel?
Yeah,
It
yeah.
was all these like TV screens. Like this took place, blah, blah, blah. And then it moved to this, blah, blah, blah. And then it went to this, then it went to that, went to that. It's like, oh my God. And when I woke up, I just immediately started crying. I was like, and then my twin, the same thing happened to her. But she said it was different for her. It didn't show up as TVs. But when you said that, I had to tell you about it because it showed up like the Wheel of Fortune with TVs on it. And it was, I guess it's showing you each reality because there's so many. The rabbit hole is so deep and thick and long and never ending. Like we can't perceive it all, especially not in this human vehicle. We can't perceive it all from the higher aspect, yeah, but right here, no.
Yeah, yeah. No, that makes perfect sense. Yeah. No, thank you for sharing that. Yeah, so I guess you want people to be able to contact you at the newparadigm.net or
Yes, newparadigmofhealing.net. If you guys have any questions, any concerns, maybe a future reading, we're gonna see how that goes. I'll update everyone with that. Please, on the website, they can leave their information on there. There's a form to allow you to leave the information. So you can definitely hit me up there. They can also text me as well. And really that's really about it. In closing though, can I just say two things?
yes, by all means.
Okay, and then I'll let it go. Olga gonna be like, I'm not letting Mena come on my show anymore. She talks too much.
No,
I shouldn't know what she's talking about.
no worries, for real. Like I'm more concerned with your time than I am with mine. So by all means, go ahead.
Oh no, I'm good. I'm good. So to when I refer to myself as a healer, I mean like a healing of the mind, body, and spirit. And I'm not talking about surgery or anything. I'm not a doctor and what have you. You know, as being indigenous and Native American medicines and healing modalities, that's how they function, right? There's no doctor or what have you. And yeah, you could do medicines as far as plant medicines and herbal medicines and what have you, which I love them. I love all that, you know. But when I say healing, me as a healer helping you heal, just helping you remember your true self. And two of the things that I really want to say three, but we'll say two, because the third one I already mentioned when I say you look for a leader that will lead you back to yourself. You know what I mean? We need genuine divine leaders and teachers to guide us back to ourselves. Again, everything that we need to know is within ourselves, is in the universe. You know what I mean? Our ancestors, our spirit family, our soul family, our guides, our teachers, our leaders, physical guides. You know what I mean? And as I give you the example of the peacock, it doesn't need to, it already has that in there. And that's the way we need to look at it as far as leaders. That's number one. Number two, to get yourself right or to really start that process is realize when you're in victim mode. Stop playing the victim. Why is this happening to me? I can't believe this. I'm a person like this. Because who's doing this to me? Yourself. Yourself is doing it to you. Yourself wants you to transform. Do you know what I mean? You can't, again, it's not about what happens to you, it's how to react to what happens to you. Life gives us lessons and opportunities and experiences to grow us. So that's number two, stop playing the victim. And number three, which is one of the hardest things for myself as well, because it can be sneaky, is judgment. We got to stop judging. That judgment. And when I say judging others, judging ourselves, and even thinking of it. Because people think, oh, because I didn't say it out loud, but you thought it. Your thoughts is the first thing. You know what I mean? You thought it. So you have to be careful. And I catch myself, and that's what I've been working on the whole month. I want to, and I'm like, cancel, cut, delete, clear. No, don't. You know, I want to say it, but I don't, because I'm like, wait a minute, that's a judgment. That's a judgment. We can't judge. Who can we judge? Judge. Don't even judge yourself. That's why when you're in deep meditation, I used to tell people when I was at Psychic Eye to do a spiritual bath, and you know, with the pink Himalayan salt and some Epsom salt and some sea salt, sometimes the black salt and all that, and put a little of the oils, because I make like a moon oil and a sun oil, and put the oils in it and relax in the tub and let everything come up. And when everything comes up, just let it come up to pass out. Don't judge it, because the moment you start judging, that's that ugly cycle. It puts you back in that cycle. You know what I mean? It's like, oh my God, I had a thought like that. Yes, you did. That's okay. It may not even be your thought, so you're judging it. It could have came from somebody else, but you don't even realize it. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So you have to practice. You shouldn't say have to. It would be beneficial to you as a spirit, as a soul. To, I shouldn't say, I'm not saying to you, but I'm saying to everyone that will, happen to watch this, that it's so beneficial to stop judging, because we put ourselves in this unending cycle by judging. You know what I mean? We'll make it 2 steps up, and then we'll judge, and we'll bring ourselves 3 steps down. So at least pay attention to that. So look for leaders that's going to lead you back to yourself. Stop playing the victim and stop judging. Okay?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. That was beautiful. Thank you. No, and I'll include myself in all that. So
well, look, you think I'm talking to everybody? I'm talking to myself first. You know what I mean? That's a bad doctor who won't take his own medicine. I'm speaking to myself first. I have not arrived. I'm learning. I'm remembering, just as everyone else does. On my blog, that's why I said, if you notice, I write and we and us and we and us, not in you, and if this happens and all that. You want to be careful of someone who call themselves helping you and they're acting like they've already arrived. They don't have to deal with any of that, because that's not true, because you wouldn't be in a human body. We all are trying to remember and figure this thing out. And it's best for us to do it all together. And guess what? We are going to do it all together. The ones that's meant to evolve and bring on this new earth, this new humanity. You see what I mean? That's the big picture, though. Oh, we all are together. That's how I was able to connect. What's the odds of me connecting with you? You see what I mean? And just reach out. And I was like, wait a minute. I know him. I don't know how I know him. I know him. And then your words, it's a soul connection, a soul spirit that goes beyond blood. That's still ancestry. It doesn't have to be blood. You got to remember, the blood down here is part of the physical aspect. Very powerful, but it's part of the physical aspect. The bigger picture, we're all connected. And the ones that's ready to go galactic and do this and handle it, we are already online. So we don't have nothing to worry about. And it is going to be a few of them that get their foot in the doorway right before it closes. And I welcome them all in. We're about to do this. It's all about love. Pure love. Real love.
100%. Thank you so much. Yeah, no, so thank you so much. Mena, the new paradigm of healing. It was an honor having you. I'll put a link to your website. I'll put a link to your blog too. I mean, it's on your website, but just so people could read it. Yeah, I mean, I know you were called to put an end to that, but it is very, a lot of information in your blogs as well. So, I mean, they'll be up, right? You're going to leave them up for people.
Oh, yeah. No, okay. I'm not going to take them. They'll be up for eons and eons. And again, I'll still, because I like to write. There's no doubt about it. You know what I mean? I do like to write. He's like, yeah, she like to talk too.
No, it's good. It's good. It's good.
I like to write. So I'll probably, when I said the seasonal blog, so I might come back with doing, like, for instance, like with females, like healing and their cycles. There's certain cycles, like some women have their cycles on the new moon, some on the full moon. There's a significance behind that. You know what I mean? Wow. Stuff that's been left out, that the divine feminine, it needs to come back, because it's not about just divine feminine, all divine masculine. It's about putting it all together. Stop separating everything, all aspects. So stay tuned. I'll be writing on something soon, just not right now. That was the last of the seasonal blog.
Oh, okay. No, perfect. I look forward to reading any future blogs that you write. So thank you.
Thank you.
So on that note, once again, it was an honor having you, and yeah, hopefully we could do it again. And thank you once again.
You're very welcome, without a doubt. I appreciate you so much. Thank you. You have a special place, and again, you family. The hawk and all. Again, it goes past the birds or what have you, but we're all connected, and I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay.
You're welcome. Peace, family.
Peace.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, sometimes you just feeling it, you know what I'm saying? You just feeling it. And I wanna feel this way forever.